Hey, welcome back to the Métropole Grid. My name is Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's a rainy Tuesday afternoon, May 14th. Happy birthday, Mom. Hopefully you're having a good one. Hopefully y'all are doing well. It is about to become really busy in Netrunner, mind you. We have NPC coming up in a couple weeks. We have Continentals 2 weeks away even. Maybe there's a ban list this week. It sounds like there will be a ban list this week, which I'm excited for. I thought it'd be out already. I needed to be out already. How's everyone doing? Thanks for dropping by on a Tuesday. Oh man, I've been struggling out there with some Netrunner. We'll talk about it in a second. I'm gonna catch up on chat, but I'm doing the alphabet series. We got a great start. Got 419 out there. 419 was super easy to get done, and then we go to A, and it's A Teia, and I am losing more games than winning with A Teia. And we'll talk about why, and I can show you some of my deck lists. I think that's the first thing we'll talk about, but it's I came down to the point that I've spent 2 afternoons recording and I have nothing to show for it. We probably need to wait for a ban list. So soon, maybe this week, maybe probably this week. I think by definition it'll be this week. We'll see if it gets there. I was looking at upcoming tournaments this summer and it's stacked. It's gonna be hard to get all the ones I want to go to. Yeah, it's gonna be really stacked. Lava, how's it going? It's already starting really fast. Like continental season seems to be a bit earlier. Normally it was like in August. I'm much happier that there's a more bigger gap between the continental season and worlds because it was all kind of the same met and the same idea last year, for better for worse. So that's actually pretty good. But like 2 weeks from now, it's continentals already. Like that's totally wild. Mind you, that's America's is the first one. And if you want to play in person in Bergamo, it's the end of June. So you have about 2 months, which is great. Veronica, are we playing cards today? I've been meaning to ask Andre, have you heard of or played Earthborne Rangers? Yeah, I have. I have picked it up. I didn't kickstart it. I picked it up after it came out over the holidays, over the like winter holidays when I was in Toronto. They had it 4-1 games, and I was like, yeah, I know this is probably worth like looking into. Me and my brother-in-law are playing it. We are on day 18. I think the tracker, like this is not spoilers, the game's still going on day 18. The tracker goes up to day 30, but I've heard it can go longer than day 30, and it feels like we're in a pretty good spot. I know No Pun Included just put out a video today singing its praises. Obviously Shut Up and Sit Down thinks it's kind of amazing. A lot of people put it on their like best games this year or last year list. It is very cool. It is really quite cool. It is definitely different than everything else. It has some really strong strengths. It has some weaknesses that make other, like, so it doesn't like replace all other card games. I think deck building in that is not the strength of the game. I think the world, the narrative, the way that it deals with combat and challenges, it is very refreshing and very unique. I have since kickstarted the new expansion and all the content that comes with it, besides the wooden figures, because I don't need that. But I'm like really stoked to play more of it. Unfortunately, Daniel and I haven't had time to play it a lot recently. We've had like a gap of 2 weeks, but we played like 2 scenarios last week and we're just like back into it. We were actually at like this huge climax too, and we had to like take a couple weeks off because he was like changed jobs and he's been kind of busy. And then we went into it. We're like really in the muck of it, and we had a really exciting. And now it has ebbs and flows, which is really cool. I don't know if you want to talk more about Earthborne Rangers, let me know. I know people are interested in it, and it's really hard to get hold of, so just talking to people and understanding what it's like is kind of sick. There is some mods on TTS if you want to try it. Playing in person is a bit nicer for sure. I also want to shout out Arkham Horror, the card game. I'm on my 3rd playthrough of Hemlock Vale. We played the longest night last night. Let me tell you, definitely one of the best scenarios of all time. Hemlock Vale is so good. Eric Hayden, hey, how's it going? Andre, free pro tip, make sure your mic is on today. After we finished last night's stream, I listened back and Nick's mic was muted the whole stream. I'm fuming. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm kidding, that was for a bit. I listened, sorry about that. I listened into to a bit of it last night because we do Arkham on Mondays. This is great. I like put it on my phone and I jumped halfway through and I watched like a couple turns of you playing against PD. I really liked that you were charging the remote server that had Anoetic in it, even though it didn't have an agenda in it, which is really good play. Not enough people do that. I think that is a thing that like, please challenge defensive upgrades, especially when there's no agendas in it, because if you trash it then, it's expensive to keep it. I think on the board state was a bit difficult because anytime drafter fires, like you just give cards back in hand, so it's hard to tax out Anoetic. But the point that I've obviously missed is that on mobile I didn't notice that Nick's audio was goofed up, so it's not as bad as you think it is. I understand why you're frustrated. I'd be too, but it seemed fine. Hey, Bob, I'm cycling right now, so please insert dry witty comeback to something Andre says here. He is dingus. Bob, enjoy your cycling. Game of Joys, how's it going? Tuesday stream to distract me from work. Yes. Yo, he sent me a like a really interesting message, I think the other day. I don't think I've responded to it yet. Apologies. I definitely ought to. But hopefully you're doing well. Happy Tuesday, chat. Sonny D, how's it going? The Arsana Reject stream? Yeah, that was the one from last night. Phil, I read this when I was not live yet, and he wrote, just have bad audio, it's easy, and I genuinely broke out laughing. It's not going to happen twice in a row, but very funny. Hey, now, like 7, how's it going? Love this channel. I've been getting back into Netrunner after dropping off around 2016. Thanks to you and everyone in the community keeping the game alive. Yo, welcome back. Game's really great. If you haven't played Netrunner since 2016, let me tell you, welcome to NSG. NSG is doing a really, really good job at keeping Netrunner as cool as it has ever been, as accessible as it's ever been, and just like, it's been great. It's really, really great. Welcome back. If you have any questions, also thank you for the kind words. If you have any questions, please shout. We're expecting a new ban list this week, which is pretty stoked for me, specifically for me. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. Maybe ban list today, I don't know, because NSG uploaded a different news article today, and I don't think, sometimes they do want to put 2 things at the same time, so they just, we'll get to this, but they did the Volunteer Worlds 2024 Netrunner World Championship article. Sometimes they do 2 articles on the same day, because then people are on this website because they want to see the new ban list, and then they stumble across this sort of stuff, right? Like, that's kind of cool, but another point of me like thinks that they'll let this article breathe and be like, this will be today's article, tomorrow or on Thursday or Friday we'll do a ban list. The latest they said it can be according to their rules is Friday, but like they could break their rules because they're in charge and we just live in their world. Someone in the Ohio server said ban list should be today or tomorrow. Not sure how they said, but they seem confident. Logman, how's it going? I'm going Bergamo. Content is hype. Yo, Veronica, that's super hype. Yo, that's sick. I know Bergamo has like an airport, and the sort of airport that does you know, like the sort of European style budget flighting, which is sick. It seems pretty accessible. US Midwest Nats is in 3 weeks. OTG, when is OTG? I haven't been tracking because OTG is like pretty far away from me. But shout out to, I do think Orbs put out a video recently talking about OTG, so there's more OTG hype. Like I totally forget that OTG is like 7 years running. It's pretty wild. Earthborne Rangers, getting my copy in sometime around December, I think. Yeah, if you did the like the Wave 2 Kickstarter, should be December, but like that's a Kickstarter. You're gonna get in March next year. What do you expect? You're much further than I have been in Earthborne, currently in day 8, loving it, really excited to get back into it. Yeah, it's really cool. Okay, so I'm gonna say some things about Earthborne Rangers. If you've played, let me know what you think. These are, it's hard to talk about the cool stuff because like that's a problem with Earthborne Rangers. Well, not problem, but it's like, it's a design quirk, is that it is largely an open world narrative game. They put you in a literal sandbox of a forest, and then you can kind of do whatever you want. Some days have a bit more structure where like a big event happens, how do you react to it? And some other days there's literally nothing to do. It's just like, I don't know, go be nice people and help the people of the valley, which is kind of cool. Like low stakes adventuring is worth pursuing. It is kind of fun. So it's really hard to talk to people like, has this happened? Has this happened? Because sometimes saying what day they're on will give you a good enough understanding of how much your stories will overlap, but sometimes it doesn't. But I do think like if there's a big narrative beat that happens around day 4, day 5, Veronica, you've probably experienced it. It's pretty exciting. Okay, my one gripe about Earthborne Rangers, you let me know if y'all played it. Attribute cards are like the skill cards if you played Arkham Horror in Earthborne Rangers. They're basically cards that have icons, and you can commit icons to this sort of like skill tests. We're gonna use a lot of Arkham language here, and they just help you do things. The attribute cards in the game are really bad, like unbelievably bad. I don't understand why that is. Like the text on them just isn't worth it. Like as soon as I upgrade my deck, I cut all the attribute cards because they're basically just like all the other cards, but I can't play them to do things that actually matter. Like I haven't seen an attribute card that actually has text on it that's like, whoa, that's really good. Why are they so bad? Like it just seems like they're seems like they have like they're mimicking Arkham, but then the skill cards in Arkham are very, very good because the effects on them are actually equivalent to events. But the effects on attribute cards in Earthborne Rangers, I'm looking at the floor where the box is. It doesn't make sense otherwise if you don't know that. It's not very good. I think they're better than that, but they do exist to be replaced by an upgrade. Yeah, their job is to leave your deck eventually. Like you can just get cards with the same amount of icons, if not more, that actually are playable. I also am frustrated, so maybe frustrated, I should be careful about my language. I'm running into some sort of tensions too, and maybe it's actually not tensions, it's the opposite of tensions, where games like Arkham Horror have a slot system. So you have cards that take up hand slots, you have cards that take up body slots, and then you have ally slots, you know, the way that you would imagine it might work. And they do it a bit different in Earthborne Rangers, where cards take up some amount of equipment spaces. And so everyone has 5 equipment spaces, and certain items take up 1, take up 2. I think I've seen some 3s. I don't think I've seen 4 or 5s. But the idea is anytime you play a card, it takes up 5 of those spaces, but it's not like you have hand slots or foot slots or whatever you want. I'm currently playing the Artificer, and the Artificer is all about tech and gear. So they are the one that wants to play as many items as they can, largely. And I even have a really useful, cheap item that says all cards take up 1 less slot to a minimum of 1. I'm getting a lot of new cards, and almost all the cards you get will take up slots. And I feel like because they all are competing for the same very tight slot economy, 80% of the new cards I get don't see any play, because they're not as good as the cards I lean on that also take up the exact same slots. Like, I wish there was a bit more wideness to the slots, because inherently now every new card competes with every other card into the deck, as opposed to an Arkham where, like, if you get an accessory, it only directly competes with your other accessory. And then there's more ways I've seen so far in Arkham by a mile to get more accessory slots and stuff like that. But in this case, it's like I'm still playing my trekking poles, I'm still playing my sketchpad, my ink sketchpad, 2 of them if I can, and then I have to play my green pockets that gives me more pockets for more stuff. And then if I play a new card, it's like, I don't know. And then those cards also don't have a lot of fluidity, where it's not like a mulch deck where you want to trash them and replace them with something else. So they get kind of bogged down. I'm being underwhelmed by how the decks don't actually feel like they're evolving. I'm still doing the same stuff I was doing on day 1. But that's like a big strength of the game, is the game is still really fun and still interesting, even though I'm not playing with that many new cards. So yeah, it's weird. This Joker referring to the mic bit. Excellent work. Hey, Izzy, how's it going? Your mic is, oh, never mind. The longest night for some reason was the hardest scenario for my group to get the rules right on. We messed up like 5 times in a row before we finally playing it right. No clue why the rules were rough for us. It seems so obvious afterwards, so who knows? It's because it does dump a lot of rules on you. And I also think one of the problems with that scenario, or one of the tensions, let's just keep saying that, is that a bunch of the enemies interact and don't interact specifically with a bunch of the other rules that they just taught you, but it's not obvious from a glance which ones do and which ones don't. I kind of wish that there was a bit more work, like the frames of the cards changed, like the ones that ignored X had a border that was very obvious from across the table that they ignored X, which is unfortunately a bit more artwork, as much as they were like willing to change the backs of the cards, which is kind of cool. But I hear you. It is technically like rules dense in a way that actually is really, really important, because a small change. It is one of the hardest scenarios, but it is just so tense and so fun. And for those who know what the longest night is, I'm not going to spoil more of it. Well, 2 things. I broke up in Gloomhaven to get some tokens to make more sense and be more thematic. It was worth the effort. And secondly, I love scenarios that are incredibly difficult, but also give you many, many interesting and creative ways to circumvent that difficulty. Like, that scenario is nonsense difficult, but then it says like, here's 4 or 5 different angles you can use to manipulate the difficulty. And so you feel clever, but you need to use every part of the machine to make it like manageable. It's really cool. Hey Bane, happy Tuesday. How's it going? It's a really rough situation with the Anoetic and Drafter. Yeah. I think when you charge it with the Brawn, Eric, was really good. Once the Drafter got down, it got a bit harder. But at that point, you're in a rough spot if you don't have Pinhole, right? Like, you have to lock R&D and hope he doesn't draw anything. It's really difficult. OTG is June 8th. Yeah, that is really soon. Hey, Pouch, how's it going? If it can be stickler, it's pronounced Bergamo with an emphasis on the first part of the word. Thank you. I appreciate it. Bergamo, not Bergamo. Bergamo. I think someone tried to correct me before. It might have been you, and I didn't understand what the correction meant in stream chat. I haven't touched Arkham since fizzling out of the solo Scarlet Keys last year, but I'm starting to have 2-player campaign of Hemlock with my buddy Johnny in less than a week. Need to pick investigators. Eric, you can pick anybody you want for Hemlock. Just don't pick, very specifically, don't play Patrice Hathaway. You can play anything else. Don't play Patrice. That's all I'd say. Very specifically, don't ever bring Patrice there, which is a bummer because she's the coolest. But I'm not a big fan of Scarlet Keys. I think Hemlock Vale is exactly what you want for someone who doesn't play a lot of Arkham. With all due respect, I think that's accurate. But if you don't play a lot of Arkham, I think Hemlock Vale is kind of incredible, because it's also a shorter campaign. It's a slightly shorter campaign, so it's much more manageable. But I think the theme, especially because y'all are like right next to where it takes place. I guess you always are, but this one's in Maine specifically. It's quite nothing. It's quite nice. I just read those nothing to do days are super fun in our experience. Just like, all right, crew, what are we doing? Yeah, and you still have like small goals. We're like, oh, we wanted to go here to see what this is because we think someone's there to talk about it, to talk to somebody about something. The first major mission, done that one, managed to complete a trousseau. Yeah, let's go. Hey Dave, do you have a set time for Tuesday streaming? It should start at 12:15 Eastern. We were like 2 minutes late, but it's generally 12:15 Eastern. And mind you, if you're on YouTube, if you hit the more button underneath my face, it should have a little comment that I put the schedule in. It's 12:15 Eastern, and then 8:45 on Thursdays. I think they're better than that. I think I read that. How many people do you usually play with? I'm playing Hemlock, not Hemlock. I'm playing Earthborne Rangers with me and my my sister's husband, so 2. There's more attributes in Stewards of the Valley to have some useful powers. Yeah, I believe it. I think the designer's new attributes are not that good. We found in larger groups that skill cards get less value because you can specialize better, so you don't really need those boosts when you can just ask your buddy to handle the given issue for you. It's not so much that like the cards themselves, like boosting is still valuable. We found at 2 players. Like you still are committing cards, but my thing is that if I have a card with 2 icons, that's a skill card that says like you can take fatigue to add this back to your hand or whatever, and then I have another card that's like a really good item that has the same assets or the same icons on it, excuse me, I'd rather have the item in my deck 9 out of 10 times. It's just like the benefits of the attribute cards are just haven't been good compared to having an item that you could consider playing. Portella, Feeding Frenzy, what's on the menu? Piranhas. We want to do some piranhas. We haven't played piranhas. Oh, I think Nanako's trying to get out. I closed her in. 1 second. She might need the bathroom. Hey, you want to get out? Boy. She's on her way. Stream. Hope we're doing well. Hey, Lazy. Earthborne Rangers is neat, but was tough to learn. I checked a video Veronica made. They helped me learn. Oh, I didn't know Veronica made a video. Thanks, Veronica. Hey, yeah, there you go. Oh, thank you. The game is like slightly unintuitive. I think the rulebook is okay. The structure of things, like the fact that it uses days as like the terminology it uses for some things, and I think the way that it wants you to, like how some quests stay and some don't and some refresh, like there's some things that are like surprisingly unintuitive in a cool way, because the game does do things very different than like I think a Netrunner player can play Arkham Horror no problem. This is slightly different, the way that it deals with enemies and a lot of other stuff. Sounds like attacking cohort guidance program. Carrie, what do you mean? How's it going, by the way? Such a lifesaver. I hit a wall after reading the rules for an hour. The rules are not amazing. Good tip, no Patrice, because I really love her. I won't explain exactly why, Eric, but there's even, you know how they have achievements in the back of the Arkham books? One of the achievements is beat Hemlock Vale with Patrice, because it is genuinely that difficult, because some things interact with the way that she interacts in a very bad way. New England is perpetually haunted. We were in Massachusetts recently, and it was like dreary and rainy the whole time, and as somebody driving through like the fog, who doesn't spend a lot of time in Massachusetts, but loves, you know, Lovecraftian vibe, it was kind of sick. It's tough to say if I play a lot of Arkham. I've played every campaign once through up until midway through Scarlet, probably like 80 to 100 scenarios all time, but it's all relative. Yeah, it's relative. Seamless gets good results. Like John's deck name. Actually, how's it going? Is this an EA Sports thing? Like the Eamless there? Because I don't get it. One of the last decks that actually you posted, I opened it and I got a good laugh from it. I thought it was really funny. How you doing? I missed the start of the conversation. How's Rangers with 2 players? Seems great to play with a partner. Spooky, yo, what's up? I think it's great. I think it's really good. Playing with 2 players, like I've heard feedback that people say playing Earthborne Rangers solo is totally fine. I think playing Earthborne Rangers and playing Arkham Horror solo, you run into the same sort of issue where like you get a bit restricted with deck building, because inherently as one character, you have to be able to do everything. In Arkham Horror and in Earthborne Rangers, there's certain things that you have to do. You have to be able to get clues. You have to be able to traverse. You have to be able to do some sort of enemy management. You have to do X and X. And I think Earthborne Rangers is a bit kinder to that. But you will end up in scenarios where like you have to deal with this person, then deal with this climbing task, and then do this, which means that deck building is a bit more important and also restrictive, the way I see it when you play solo, in both Arkham Horror and Earthborne Rangers. When we play with 2 players, we're both kind of focused. I'm focused on items and I deal with like blue and red really well, where my partner Daniel is one of the compassion-based guardians. So he's good at blocking and connecting with people, which is really, really useful. Like we have a very good synergy. It wasn't exactly intentional as much as I was like, I'm going to be the gear nerd. He's like, okay, I'll be a guardian and I'll talk to people, which is playing out well. I would say that if you're playing, my preferred way to play Arkham solo, and I imagine if I was going to play Earthbound Rangers solo, which I will once I finish the campaign, I think, with Daniel, is that I would play 2-handed. As long as you don't mind the extra admin, which like can be daunting. As soon as you play 2-handed, you're allowed to build more interesting things and specialize, which I kind of like a bit more, as opposed to being forced to play a generalist. And I feel like it's also frustrating when you only have one character, because if you fail one important test in Arkham Horror and like it costs you a whole turn cycle, it feels a lot worse. But with 2 players, you can mess up one test, auto fail it, and then like your other player can come in and kind of react to it. It's a frustration. Some people like house rule. If they pull the auto fail, you know, don't. So it's hard to tell sometimes how exactly you enjoy it. But I know a lot of people do enjoy it solo. Hey, David, how's it going? Can stick around definitely for the whole, but I'll definitely check out. Can't stick around on Giant VOD. Hopefully you're doing well, David. Nanako's the best. Changeling. Oh, so brave, so true. Nanako is the best. It's gotten a bit warm recently. I'm having my shirt open. I honestly like. I don't know whether I don't know what etiquette is on shirt opening or not. It's warm. It's warm in here, and so she's warm. So we've taken off her bow tie collar because it's getting hotter. She's having a great time. The vibes are perfect in Earthborne. They can get stressful, but the vibes are really good. Renan Bellet de Saint Maurice. Hey, ça va? How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the channel, maybe. I had 2 do-nothing days after the first major mission. The first, I got stuck in the mountains and wanted to cry. The second day, I completed the 4 side quests. Yeah, it's really cool that there's like this built-in roller coaster of emotions. Like sometimes you just get stuck in a river or you get stuck in a ravine and you're like, we're never going into mountains again. And it's like 2 days later and we're like, well, we got to go through the mountains because we have to get here fast. And it's genuinely cool that you understand what you're setting up to and you're like, this is going to be bad. And then you still have to do it, which that's kind of hiking, I guess. Good to see New England keeping old England's reigning nest. Hey, that guy. How's it going? I found Earthborne Ranges solo a lot more forgiving, but I might also figure out how to make the good solo deck early on. Yeah, I think, Veronica, you can make a really bad solo deck. I even think in the demo, when I played it, they were like, if you're going to play solo, please pick someone with at least 2 in red stat. Because they're right. If you pick somebody with red stat 1, whatever red stat is, I think it's fitness, you're kind of messed up. Like, I think you're going to die in White Tree or however bad it can get. I played through Carcosa solo. You're adding, so did I miss Solomir? Huh? Oh, up there. Speaking, I did miss. Sorry. Speaking of Arkham campaign, how long RL time does it typically play through 1 to completion? Some campaigns are shorter than others, Solomir. There's some that are like 4 scenarios, some 6, some are 8. It depends how many player count too. If you play solo, like if I play 2-handed tabletop simulator, so no like faff with setup, each thing takes like half an hour, and then you generally do about 7 of them. So you could do a whole campaign in 6 to 7 hours. That being said, if you sit down with 4 players and you play in person, you have to pull the cards and shuffle them. You can do a whole campaign in a day if you really try. You have to be really committed to do like one, you know, I don't even know, maybe. Yeah, you probably can. You can do one in a weekend for sure. You could do one in a day if you were hardcore about it. So that's kind of where it gets into. It's like TI territory. And I think in 8 hours, you can struggle to get through a whole campaign. If you're 4 players. If you're 2, you could do it. How's it going, by the way? I missed your message. I think the thing about TSK is that it's good if you can commit the time to play multiple times and don't mind getting wrecked the last few. It's definitely not for everyone. Yeah, TSK is definitely not for me. And it's also very, very rough on the first play. It's one of the worst campaigns for the first play, and I do not think it gets that much better after the first play. EA Sports from East Anglia, okay, Southeast England, where the Netrunners, Cambridge, and Norwich. Yeah, the EA Sports team. I'm assuming Jonald's an EA Sports player. Is Jonald from the UK? He was up in like in Jeff's stream on Friday when they played this, so I thought he was like from the other Cambridge, from Cambridge, Massachusetts. But yeah, he's playing in Norwich and Aldershot, so he must be from the UK. My locals are about to start, but I'm dropping in to say thanks in advance. Hey, Lucille, for the stream and the VOD, I shall indulge when I get home. Happy never ending. Hey, cheers, enjoy your local play. I'm stoked that you're going out and playing in person. I don't do that enough. Also, sorry to everyone who showed up for Netrunners at Earthborne Arkham stream. Veronica, this is what we got the timestamps for. Earthborne lets you fail several tests in a row and you still fine. It's perfect, but you can deal with solo. Yeah. The failure in Earthborne's not as bad. Whistle and put the thing back into the bag. Yep. Just put it back. Time to do Metropole Grid streams. Oh, I see. Yeah. We should do it. We'll raise some money. I've done a handful of plays solo 2-handed Earthborne. It's been pretty good. Overhead doesn't feel wild. Yeah, it doesn't scale with overhead the way that I think exactly Arkham does. 2-handed is fun in Lord of the Rings, but the deck just disappears under all that cardboard. Lord of the Rings I found really tricky to play 2-handed because there's just like your board states get super wide, right? Like depending on how many allies you play, like even just playing one character, your board state actually ends up being like on certain decks like 15 cards, 16 cards, and then you have to consider like on every test where do they go. So I actually think like Lord of the Rings I probably wouldn't play 2-handed that easily. I think Nanako's trying to get back in. Sorry, 1 second. She changed her mind, such as Cat. Reddit's fitness, yellow, spirit, green's awareness, blue's focus, thank you. What? Even on TTS, 2-handed a scenario in half an hour, including reading scenario text, or is a replay where you know where the text is? I know where most of the text is, Eric, but it's not like my first plays. If I'm like playing Carcosa again, I will do like half an hour to 40 minutes to do a scenario. Right? Like Curtain call. You can do curtain call in half an hour. I really like TSK. I was getting into a really cool conversation with Jamie from the rules team at Mansion Runner, because they did playtesting on a bunch of like the stuff. You can find their name in the playtesting documents. And Jamie loves TSK. I don't like TSK so much. I think there's a lot of reasons I don't like TSK. I'm super stoked about Hemlock Vale because it's kind of put it back where I kind of enjoy Arkham a bit more. But I like that a lot of people enjoy it. Arkham games in range from 1.5 to 2.5 hours per scenario on paper. Solo, Eric? Donald is tiebreakers? So, none of this is EA Sports. How's it going? How's your cycling? We can do a scenario in 2 hours. We did a scenario last night. It was 2.5 hours, but we were 4 players. With that kind of time commitment, probably can't trap my normie friends going through a whole campaign with me. I did. Solmir, I did. I trapped some normie friends to play a campaign. We did 2 campaigns. We did Forgotten Age and like people who have barely played board games. And I think the story, if the story is good, people are actually interested. So like I think Carcosa, I meant to say if I said Scarlet Keys, Carcosa and Forgotten Age actually have really good stories. So I wouldn't do it all in one day, but the fact that you come back and you're in a different location and the decks get better, like there's some compelling hooks that I think, you know, non-hardcore board game people are into. Hey, there's John. I'm from the UK, but a member of the Tiebreakers. Oh, yeah, very good. Congratulations on this deck. How you doing? John was a tiebreaker. All the tiebreakers showing up, be like, no, one of us. He lives on the other side of the UK. Okay. Setup and teardown included? Yes. That's the thing. On TTS, you don't have setup or teardown. You hit 2 buttons. So if it's 30 minutes, feels fast, it's TTS. The decklist name is just dunking on EA Sports. Oh, I get it now. EA get good. Okay. That went over my head. Reddit mentions I'm nowhere near Cambridge. Had a long trek for the CEO. Oh, very good. Very good. TSK was pretty in the middle of the pack for me. I don't hate it, but I don't really love it either. Hemlock Vale's way more fun. Yeah. Here for the Hades 2 content. Jai, how'd it go? I think I beat it. I think I win. I think Hades is over and I don't have to play Hades 2 again until it comes out officially. I've hit, it's hard to not do spoilers, but I've hit multiple, like, there's no more content here. Like, thanks for playing. Multiple of those screens. So I think I'm good. I think I'm good. I'll come back next year when it's finally out. I think I don't want to grind more of it. I'll just wait until it's all out. But I'm Hades'd out. I'm win. I'm out. I'm good. Where are we at Hades 2 then? Fix me. Yeah, there we are. Why Hades 2 when we could just do SDS? I need to get better at SDS. Like, I'm trying to do Ascension runs. I was talking about this, I think, earlier, that I never did Ascension. I thought Ascension was for nerds. Obviously didn't know much about myself at that point in time for some reason. Jeff said a comment in the last stream that I didn't read. It was really funny. He's like, what are you talking about? You've been streaming Netrunner for 10 years. Were you not a nerd? He might have felt attacked about the Ascension stuff. And I'm working on it. And I'm not that good at Slay the Spire, but it's not so much like I don't have card game fundamentals. It's just like I don't have macro understandings of like what the routing of each character is and what each floor I should like worry about and stuff like that. So if y'all have recommendations of what content creators I can watch that will make me like technically better at Slay the Spire, besides Sangren SC, who I do watch, let me know what that is. I watched some Frost Prime, which is pretty good fun, but I don't think I'm getting smarter. I might be getting the opposite. I know Jorbs is like highly recommended, and I don't know who else. I don't feel attacked, no worries. Oh no, I'm joking. Jeff, how's it going? It's just really funny. You're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you know, I know. It's very funny. Hades 2 is really good, yeah. I've done a single successful run so far. Let's go. The Mythos Buster playthrough, whole campaigns IRL in a single sitting takes an Iron Man event, gendered name. I think it's 12 to 17 hours, but that's a lot of planning and prior familiarity. I am upset that me and my friends have never done the sit down, do it in one shot. I've always told Pat we'll do it. We never do it. I think Maddie would love to do it, my partner. We just haven't done it yet. And I think Hemlock Vale is a really good candidate because it is one scenario shorter. Hey, how do you get Valketiag? How's it going? Love your content. Thank you. I'm going to my first CO in a few weeks. Anything you recommend to do to prepare, especially for playing under time limit for the first time? Don't stress about it. Firstly, that's amazing. What I would recommend for an event, I have a video up, which is like, it's a bit longer than it should be. And it's talking about going to Worlds. Now, I'd recommend if you have like a really 45 minutes to watch it, it's less on 2x speed. It has some good fundamentals about what to do about going to a tournament and just things that people go. It's called like You Are Going to Worlds. Big tournament advice. Yeah. So you're going to Worlds. I would give this a shot. Because what it does, it talks about the fundamentals of things that people do at Netrunner tables that I would recommend to do at any level of tournament, whether it's Worlds or CO. So like a big one is that if you have a deck of 45 cards, before every match, you should do a pile, not sort, but a pile shuffle, where you just do piles of 5 and then you don't have to count. And if the last card you put down hits the final pile, you'll know you'll have, 9 piles of 5. And if you have 9 piles of 5, it means you didn't drop a card. Same for a corp deck that's 49 cards, just do piles of 7. And if the last card, you don't have to count how many cards you put on the table, it doesn't hit that 7th pile that is 7th tall, you know that you've left an agenda that a runner has literally stolen from you. And you want to sort that out. That's a really big one. Just count your cards before. Maybe not the most important thing, but that is an important one to come up. This has some other stuff about like sleeving. Just bring extra sleeves if you can. For what it's worth, a CO is a super casual event. I think maybe I should pare this down and make it more about a casual event. I think the most important thing you can do when going to your first CO is if you're ever uncomfortable about the rules, if you have any rules question, just raise your hand and call for a judge, and someone will come over and explain to you how things work and make sure that we're all on the same page. Don't feel pressured. Ask your opponent to read their cards if you don't know all the cards. And the Netrunner community is incredibly friendly. But if you have any problems, you want to know how something works, you want to know this, you want to know the text on the card, just that's what your judges are there. You just say, hey, judge, they come over and be like, what's up? And be like, hey, can I do this? Is this how this works? And they'd be like, no, sorry, it doesn't because of this. Does that make sense? And then say yes or no, and then they'll explain it to you better, hopefully. 10 out of 10, call your judges over. Going to time, if you haven't played in person, I'd recommend playing in person a bit. Just if you can, just play against yourself. Like, just get the physicality of it if you only play on JNet. Because you're going to be a bit nervous in your first round. You're going to shuffle awkward. You're going to knock your deck over. It's fine. Everyone does it. Bring water. Bring a snack if you can. But that's mostly it. It's like COs are really chill. They're the chillest they can be. You're going to meet nice people. That's really important. You're meeting nice people that all care about the same thing you do largely, which is Netrunner. So you're going to make some friends for sure. Yeah, that's kind of it. If you have any more specific questions, I would be mindful about the deck you bring. Like, don't bring a deck that takes you 55 minutes to win a game on JNet casual. Bring something that's a bit faster, because generally in-person play takes a bit longer. But if you're stressed about time, if you time out in a game, it's okay. Everyone knows you're trying your hardest. If you play a bit slower because you're newer, that's expected. I would not worry about it. Going to time is not the end of the world. It's something you want to avoid, obviously, but if you go to time, don't be embarrassed. It's your first event. It's a CO. It's not a big deal. Eventually, you'll play faster and smoother when you get more confident. That'll come in time. Time will come in time. So just don't stress about it. It's fine. It's totally fine. Enjoy, though. Let us know how it goes. Hades 2 has Hecate and Nemesis, though, and Odysseus, and who are the other friends of the mask enjoyers? I think Hemlock hits the open world style better than the TSK for the Arkham formula. Yes. I think Hemlock does the sort of your choices matter better than TSK does, which is wild because it's open world, less open world heavy. Under chat is tiebreakers territory. There's a lot of streams that are tiebreakers territory. Obviously, Ba is like a tiebreakers territory chat. I think Jeff's stream largely is too. Trying to stay away from all the Hades 2 content, have a fresh experience when it's full release or early access. Yeah, respect, tell me. I think that's a cool way to do it. I haven't reached higher than like Ascension 5 or 6. I think I'm on 5, Veronica. For watching Jeff do SDS last week, I tried to spin it up again. I'm horribly bad at relative to other deck builders. I'm not too bad at it. I think I'm okay. For y'all who did Hemlock, does it feel accessible if you have a smaller card pool? Yes. I think so, Sonny. I don't think it seems less or more accessible. There's like no inherent mechanics in Hemlock Veil that say like, oh, if you have these cards in your card pool, do you cheese it? None of the problems are like incredibly difficult. They're all just kind of consistently wide. Some of the scenarios are hard. Specifically the Night 2 scenario, if you pick the official Night 2 scenario, is very difficult. But like, that's the thing about Arkham. Failure is totally part of the narrative. So I don't think it's like the shadow mechanic, whatever it's called, in TSK, in which like access to certain parts of the card pool, I wouldn't say trivialize, but very much do most of the heavy lifting against the mechanic. Is Ascension like Heat? Yeah, exactly. So droids, every time that you beat it, you can go up 1 Ascension level, and every Ascension level adds some difficulty bonus and they stack. So like at one point, you always have a weakness in your deck that you just start with. So minor, whatever, you can win on that. Then suddenly everybody does 10% more damage. Then all the bosses do 10% more damage. And it just scales up until you hit Ascension 20. At that point you ascend, and then you're very good at it. I think it's the first one I go to, Balor. Thank you, Jeff. I don't recommend Balor for educational SDS content. For high level stuff, go to Zeknar. Thanks, Jai. Jai with the correct spelling. Off to a meeting. We'll try to catch up. Yo, enjoy your meeting. Ascension's adding more difficulty after you beat the game. Yes, because eventually it's like playing, you know, I don't know, Spirit Island. Once you play core Spirit Island a couple times, you're like, I can do this. I can win 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10 times. And then is the game interesting? No, you got to make the game a bit more difficult for you. I'm on like A2, but I've been finding Jorb's content helpful for learning how to do better more generally. Okay, it's been a while since I watched Jorb's. Jorb's played Netrunner one time too, if I'm not mistaken. You can also do 5 piles for Corp. Just know that you hit the 4th pile instead of the 5th. You could, yeah. If you play 44, you should do 4s too. But just pile shuffle if you can. Also, that's not a shuffle. You have to shuffle after that. That's just good for counting. The Wormwood video has been on my recommended for YouTube, but I'm unsure if I should bother clicking on it. Amazing advice. Thank you. Yeah. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. My first TO, my opponent played DJ Fenris and hosted Los. We didn't have the cards, so we had to call a judge because we didn't know it was the first time every time. It was a really funny moment. Yeah, calling a judge for card text is totally doable. I'm leaning away from 78 card Ari World Tree. You'll be totally fine. And I bought an Exile Sells a Conspiracy Breaker every turn deck after only playing on JNet. That was such a deck. That one was really fun. Was it actually that slow? I remember bringing it to an event and thinking like, actually, that's kind of sick. It is fiddly though. Obviously, you have a lot of decision points, but a lot of times you just like, I'm gonna install it, whatever. All right, can I just show you where I'm at? Because unfortunately, the content has dried up a bit, but I want to show you to start a bit of a conversation of where I am with A Teia. This has been a bit of frustration. Honestly, I've been quite frustrated about this, and it's like, just not great. We had our first Netrunner meetup in Toulouse. Yesterday, we were 5 with new people. So cool. Oh, sick, Gelhar. Yo, well done. That's awesome. Gelhar shared a story about how he showed off Netrunner at a convention in the south of France and had a bunch of people show up and taught people Netrunner. So now folks are coming out to play in the south of France, which is absolutely incredible. This is more work than you'd want it to be sometimes, but like putting in the effort to make your meta as cool as you want your meta to be. People want to play this game. They just need a lot of support sometimes. And so teaching them how to play is a great start. It's a moment of, I've never seen Los, what's it do? I'm not sure, Judge. Yeah, just call it Judge. So this is A Teia, and we're doing the alphabet series, and A is technically the first letter, right? English alphabet. And I'm glad that people picked A Teia because A Teia is generally the most interesting. And I have played a lot of A Teia games, and I am struggling. I'm definitely really struggling. And we got to talk about the ID really quickly. Limit to remote servers, I think that's healthy. If this wasn't there, this would be kind of busted. But the first time each turn you install a card in the root of or protecting a remote server, you may install another card from HQ in the root or protecting the remote server free of charge. So install on server A lets you get something in or in front of server B or vice versa. I've been running into some issues with A Teia because I've been finding that a couple things are happening. Firstly, you're ending up in situations in which, like, there's a couple ways to play A Teia, and I think I've tried most of them. I think we can see a couple of the options of how I built it. I've heard from people, maybe this is a startup special, is that you can build 2 iced remote servers. And the idea is that you actually play a lot of ice, like 19, 18 ice. I think maybe 18 is a bit low. And then whatever you do, you put in server 1, you, for the future, put ice for free, because mind you, ice installation saving credits is actually kind of sick, is that you build a second remote server. And so the question is, how do you get enough money in a deck that you can actually have 2 remote servers in which you can afford to res the ice on both of the remote servers and also not get hammered on central servers? And my conclusion is, you can't. You can't. I'll show you some, not replays exactly, but the stats are, I'm running into like 2 distinct kind of decks when I'm playing Netrunner right now online, for better or for worse. Either I'm running into tier 1 decks that are getting to an end game, or I'd even say a mid game board state, that makes these sort of decks that have ice in them as their main game plan very, very, very lousy. I think Vampire Nasa right now is like a card that I used to be really excited for. Res is for 7, 4 strength, 4 Zubbertines is really good. For what it's worth, to Metro Ice Theory, this ice is probably slightly overcosted, unless you think 2 net damage is really good, which I could see that you probably do. But this is technically very expensive. But the idea is that, can someone break this with a Cat's Cradle, or, insert bad Code Gate Breaker here? Even a Unity? No, it feels really, really good. But I've been doing some stat tracking, and the problem is, in at least half of the games, it starts, my 7-cost dice gets broken for 2 credits consistently because of Buzzsaw and Turbine. It is what it is. And if that's the case, we honestly generally have no taxing ice in the deck besides Boto at strength 6. And the idea is that if you don't win fast enough, you get to the mid to late game. And the fact that your deck is 19 pieces of ice is not a good spot to be in, because a lot of that ice gets broken for a fraction of what you res it for. And that is obviously going to be a problem. There's no way around that. So this did not work out for me. Now, the second kind of deck that I play against, and this one is like, I think less of a strong deck, but is capitalizing, is the sort of decks, and I play this really consistently because I think the last set had a lot of support for it, is a sort of like Hammer Central, specifically Hammer R&D decks, in which it's some combination of, the culprits here, like Pretty Mary, and then, Beatrice, or just running, Akiko and or Iru and all that sort of nonsense, right? It doesn't have to be a Mercury deck. Some Shaper decks do it, but a lot of decks are just saying like, I'm going to ignore entirely what you do in the remote server because I have enough pressures on central servers or deep dive to win the game. And it's really, really difficult for this deck to build a remote server that they feel happy about, have enough ice to res all that, or have enough money to res all that ice, excuse me, and then not lose to central servers. And so against those decks, I'm just hoping not to lose on centrals. And the remote server, they sometimes never run, which doesn't make great content when you just have a remote server they just didn't bother running because you're struggling to res central servers. It's a problem. And I'm finding the A Teia ability to get it to fire consistently. You're running into the mid game where you've A Teia'd out your hand and you're holding a hand of mostly agendas that you don't feel comfortable scoring, and A Teia stops firing in the mid game. Because for A Teia to be good, you constantly need a really, really big handful of stuff. At some point, I tried fully operational. And it's obviously not that good in A Teia because it has like a hard cap and it's also influence. But this is this exact sort of thing that the closest thing to A Teia, Asa Group, really loves. Because at some point, if Asa Group fires Asa Group turn after turn after turn, it runs out of cards. And if Rashida doesn't fire, there's almost no HP cards that draw cards besides like Gatekeeper. And so having a card like this is actually super important because you need to reset your hand. Because once you get to the mid to late game and you've A Teia'd out everything that makes sense, your hand doesn't A Teia anymore. Because there's a lot of board states in which like A Teia is not worth doing anything unless you have like an asset, like a cohort guidance you're putting uniced or like barely iced. And that's kind of a struggle. And so the flick flack decks haven't been working well to me because they don't have a lot of economy. And if you don't draw your flick flack agenda, you kind of don't do anything. And so the last one that I was working on that I felt really good about it is like, hey, why don't I play Tranquility Home Grid? And that might sound obvious. I think a lot of A Teia decks have been playing Tranquility Home Grid. The problem is, for better or for worse, I was like really, really, really into La Costa because La Costa is incredibly good with obviously the 4/2s and with Charlotte. But I think Tranquility is exactly what we want in this deck. A flexible, high to trash, low investment econ card that refills our hand and our economy when we're jamming into the remote server. And I felt really good about this. I also made sure that we have many things that look annoying that we can bluff as agendas, just as many A Teia triggers as possible. So I built the deck with like Charlottes and NGO fronts. We have Rashidas, we have Spin Doctors. Of course, we have 3 seamless launches, so we can do the timely public release fast advance thing. Our Ice Suite is still as bad as it is until late game stuff, Vampire Nasa being broken for cheap. And I'm still running the exact same issue, is that this deck does not seem strong enough against the good stuff. And I feel like there's a real big discrepancy right now between the tier 2 stuff and the tier 1 stuff, that I'm running into matches where like either once a turbine comes down, none of this ice is broken for less than 1 to 2 credits, which is a problem. And or they get to the end game and you're playing against like 3 labor rights simulchip, and then again everything gets broken for free. Because we just inherently cannot get enough money to ice up all central servers and the remote server to feel secure. So you always have to let something open, which is how the Lu deck like absolutely rolls on you, which is, it's a problem. So I spent 2 entire afternoons recording, and I'll show you my JNet stats just so like you see what it is. Like this list, Tranquility, the one that I was the most confident about, 38% win rate on JNet. Like that's really not good. That's really bad. And I'm out there trying. I had some really good games. Mind you, the games haven't been great. The players have been really nice. I've just met fantastic folks. If we've recorded games and the games don't end up as content, I apologize. I've met some really fantastic people. We had some great conversations after the games, but it's been a bit of a struggle. We look at some other stuff. Red Asa, 67% win rate. It's only 3 games, so that's not too bad. I got 2 remotes. The one that I'm building two remote servers, like I played 2 games. It did not feel good. And then the NSG one that we built on stream, or we deck doctored, that one went well. And then when we played older Asa stuff, it's like my Red Asa deck was doing pretty good. We've won 3 games out of 3. Okay. But then Flick Clack, like we lost way more than we won. This is the one that I've grown the most with. And we played 8 games and we're not even winning half of them. And it's just kind of a struggle because it does not have what you need to make it win against anything that's like competitively oriented. I also look through my stats, right? And this is, this is why I was really excited for new ban list stuff. And I'm not saying what exactly is going to get banned. I think if we listen to Jeff a bit on his last stream, it seems like this ban list is going to be addressing not so much the new cards, but more so some of the pain points from the old set, which makes a lot more sense. I don't think any new card from the new set's going to get banned. There's no way they're going to ban anything from the new set this soon, but I think we're likely to see things like labor rights get banned. Like maybe you address turbines, stuff like that. Things that are like old latent problems. Sports Meta 100% win rate on Shayna though. Yeah, I know. Time for Kobe's revenge. Yeah, it's just gonna be replaced droids. Like that's a problem. Turbine is one thing, but it's probably the fixed strength breakers that have to go sooner than that. Really, would they take out the turbine in the ban list? Yeah, they might. Maybe consider RLC for slightly less influence, clickless draw. It's so bad though. It's like a lot of influence, and it's like paying a credit to clicklessly draw 1 card functionally. Like you might as well play Mindscaping, and that's not even great. But yeah, so we played against Doomrat on like 9 simulchip freedom. That didn't go well. Kiko Strange Attractor got a really solid dig on R&D in the last turn. It didn't make sense. Arsana deck, don't remember it that well, but it is what you think it is. Shaper's also such a struggle to play against when like Shaper can, Uh, I'm really struggling against like 6 fundamental simul chips, 6 SMC shaper. It's really difficult. As deck, we got body. We played a really good game against Chris, who was just playing good stuff Hoshiko. I think I punted it a bit because I didn't realize, I knew the top of the deck and I didn't think there was agenda there. That was a fun game. But I looked at my stats, and my stats say, hold on, I'm gonna pull it up really quickly. You're not gonna see it on stream, so you're just gonna have to, oh no, oh, I alt tabbed and then all my windows are gone. 1 second. Oh, all my windows are gone? Hold on, I have to rebuild the whole system. Currently we played, out of the decks that I played on the last day, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We played 13 games. We saw 7 turbines in 13 games. So the chance of you finding a turbine in a game is higher than not, right? And we played against some weird stuff too. So like we played against Essa that had turbine in it. We played Az, didn't have turbine. Freedom didn't have turbine. That's not surprising. But like we saw double turbine lat. We're seeing turbine everywhere. And it just means like Buzzsaw was the most common code gate breaker we saw in all our capture. We saw Buzzsaw in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of 13 games. Buzzsaw was the decoder. Which, like, that's interesting in one way, because if you know that, you can punish it. But unfortunately, I don't feel like there's a good way you can punish Buzzsaw. If you're running a lot of 4-strength code gates like Vampire Nasa, they're still breaking it for 2 credits by the time it actually matters. And I am just finding it hard to make a deck that is mostly ice do anything right now. Now, I'm not super gloomy about it, right? Like, we're just gonna wait for a ban list and see how things go. But the deck dive series, I've spent 2 whole afternoons recording and I've got nothing to show for it, which is kind of a problem. Cleaver, Buzzsaw, and Gateway, I could see not wanting to ban do that alone. There's no way that they won't get banned at some point. I think it's about time Gateway gets banned. Your Corp and Runner win rate are the same. The last discussion I heard, everyone was discernibly stronger with one side. So Jad, how's it going by the way? My Corp and Runner win rate, these are really old because there's a lot of games, but very specifically to my stats on this channel are not representative of my competitive stats. Not that I play competitively, but like we use this channel to do everything, like build weird decks. We use this channel to play Decklist of the Week. I use this channel for lessons. So a lot of times I'm scrimming and like I will, you know, hopefully lose a whole bunch of those games. So these are not, I would say, accurate stats to me. But over the time, what I've noticed is generally my Corp and Runner win rate have been very similar over the years. They've been very similar over the years. They haven't been that far apart. And it's mostly because that number is pretty big. So even if there's like one meta where like the Corp has up 10%, like I don't think you're gonna see a huge difference here. I played way more. Oh no, that's all time and this. I actually don't play that much JNet. Like I think there's a lot of people who are watching this that play more JNet than I do, for, you know, better and worse. Vampire has to play Isaac to boost strength. We figured it out. You just gotta play Thunderbolt or whatever. I'll say my corporate win rate is currently quite far apart, but slowly drifting together. Do you think it's meta, or just like as a player you were better at one side more than the other? I moved away from Bambi, Atini, and my A Teia list because it never felt good to have them. I just ran 9 barriers in my deck. Kevin, and like that's what I'm coming down to, and I think you're totally right. Is like the barriers are doing well. The barriers are feeling very good. Like into Shaper, you can't cheat around Boltu. Like it's a problem. Tattoo Bull is obviously very good, and in A Teia is really good. But I think the Tributary is worth playing. Thimblerig is worth playing because it's just very good into like Virus Anarchs and stuff like that until they put their Buzzsaw down. But I'm coming to the fact that like I probably just don't want to play Code Gates anymore, because all of these get broken for 1 to 2 credits, and I can't, like 3 Vampire Nasa is wrong. I think Atini is equally wrong. I'd rather res Vampire Nasa than Atini on most board states, but 3 Vampire Nasa is not it, because I cannot res this for 7 and they break it for 2 for obvious reasons. I actually don't play that much JNet. No, but Eric, a lot of people grind way more JNet than me. Like I've just been on this JNet channel on this JNet account for a long time, but like I do not comparatively play, like there's grinders out there that play like 100 games in a month. I do not play 100 games a month with JNet. It's all relative. Oh man. So in theory, is what icebreakers are the problem? What kind of numbers do we need on Cleaver and Buzzsaws that are not just binder fodder relative to Corroder and Gordian? I don't think I'm gonna be able to answer this question really well. I think icebreakers are one of the hardest cards to design by a mile, because fundamentally, if they're good, they're everywhere. And it's hard to build ice that makes certain icebreakers attractive and certain icebreakers not attractive. I think the problem right now is we're at the point where most decks are running the same icebreaker suite. Like I'm running into criminal decks that are like Buzzsaw and Takobi, not maybe Takobi, but Buzzsaw, Turbine, Cleaver. Like Kurapir, I think, has been the biggest success because fundamentally its numbers are not amazing, but the way that it forces the corporation to play the game and the way that it like interacts obviously with its ability, which is a financial ability, is fascinating. I think we need more cards like this that actually have upsides and downsides, right? It's hard to balance around that. I think the intention of this card, and this is cool, is that we want cards that have upsides, but also have clearly big downsides that the corporation can capitalize on. And the problem is like the downside to Buzzsaw is obviously less accentuated than it's ever been with the access and ubiquity of Turbine. Buzzsaw was printed much before Turbine, for those who don't know. But with Turbine is like how do you make that reasonable? Do you have to have so many 6-strength code gates in the format for this to be a problem? It is hard when they want to buzz onto a gatekeeper you res. Like that does feel good. You can't break that for 10 credits, Michael. Like it doesn't make sense. But the idea is that at some point that like the turbine comes down and the game is just kind of messed up. I don't know. Like I would kind of like it if this maybe didn't have text. I'm not sure. I don't know how to do it. Like I just want the downside to be more of a downside. Admittedly, with turbine, this doesn't matter. But like if this came in at 2 strength, or heaven forbid 1 strength, right? Like with 1 strength, it's probably unplayable. But like the idea with this card is that it does something very uniquely, but then needs a lot of support to get better. Like that's what I want. I want the support to feel like it's something worth, and then I want the support to be something you can play around, right? Like it's wild that we're coming back to it. But like Leech is the sort of card that you can abstractly play around. Back in the day when cards like Buzzsaw, which was Yogg, you worked with Leech, and that was very, very good. The idea that any central server run built up that Leech, and then that Leech meant that you would like, you know, Yogg through whatever big code gate for free. Mind you, Yogg is just Buzzsaw, but it breaks all subroutines for 0. It cannot boost strength. I'll just show it. Why did I have to explain all of it? And I think the issue is that corporations right now don't feel like they can play around Turbine the same way that I don't agree that corporations feel like they can play around Takobi. There's just no angles of interaction. It's just like, did it come down soon enough? Can they run a lot? The game is now over. And I feel like that's a lot of my problems right now is I wish that as a corporation, I felt like I could do something about it. And I can't. I think we shouted this one out. Like this one's a really cool one too. Like Net Ready Eyes is an interesting card. It was actually a very, very important card when it came out. It won Worlds even. And this makes a decision. Choose an icebreaker. And I've mentioned that there's been games that have been won or lost by the runner making the wrong call or the corporation not resing ice into the right call. And that is cool. And I think I'd rather have a card like this that's a bit more like, it comes down to the players calling the board correctly than just the brute force numbers of it. So it's tricky. You think Signal Jammy's getting banned? Or is it still in the format? Yeah, I guess it's a red sand card. Elwin, how's it going? Hey, Pat as well. My corporate rate was significantly higher, which made sense since it's been a mild corp meta for the past year, but it's been slowly going down. Oh, very cool. Lou could be a hard match for this A Teia. Yeah, the Lou matchup is really miserable. We're not even playing Mavirus, but that's the sort of matchup once they get to like labor rights farming, like you're cooked. You're super, super cooked. Because you just cannot ice everything up well enough to be taxing to whatever it may be. Andre says the games we played together don't count. Patrick, what are you talking about? How is the math different for barriers versus Cleaver and Turbine? There's a lot more 6-strength barriers, right? Like Boto is inherently a 6-strength barrier. So this is going to cost you more to get through for Cleaver. Brown inherently is a very playable 6-strength barrier. So it's slightly better. It's not much better, but slightly better. You notice how like in the format, there's no code gates in Jinteki that I think they're above 5 strength. I think Atini is the highest, and Atini doesn't see a lot of play. You can always just go through Atini if you want to. The last time Atini had 2 Ken decks and Takobi make top cut. Yeah, I think Takobi Ken is like, it's been around for a while. I think Takobi is the next kind of thing. That's like, if you ban Turbine, you're just going to see Takobi. Breaker Sing playing other factions. You don't say. If Buzzsaw wasn't Gateway, it may have actually been unboostable. Yeah, I think that's like a really thing that's worth keeping in mind is like this code gate breaker had to make sense. The weirdest thing to me though is like, I don't honestly know that's true. Solomir, how many code gates in System Gateway are they? There's like 3 and they all get eaten by Buzzsaw. Like Buzzsaw didn't need that text. Like the code gates in System Gateway are really, really strange because there's no reason to play any decoder in System Gateway besides Buzzsaw, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm misremembering them. Let's just check for the sake of keeping us honest here. If we do code gate is, I think you can do that. You can't do that? That's annoying. Okay, Funhouse. Oh, technically Funhouse, but like break for 1. Okay, this shouldn't have gone that way. Hold on. Break for 1, break for 1. Funhouse you can't, but Funhouse you break for the same cost without a breaker. Like if you pay 4, you pay 4. Right? Like it doesn't need a decoder if you're going to break it for 4, is my point. But that's the weird thing is like, here's 3 decoder options. One of them is clearly the best one, where you break these for 1 credit. It's not a huge saving, mind you. 3-strength diviner actually kind of is a saving. Takobi's rotating? Yeah, you're right. Takobi is rotating. Lotus Field's an update, and that clown's hard on boostable Buzzsaw. Yeah. It would. But then like we're playing Lotus Field. Like again, for those who are new to the game, Lotus Field was such an important card, and exactly the reason why Net Ready Eyes was such an important card is there was a card that strength could not be lowered, which means you could not get through this with your Yogg cheat. Yeah, that's it. Buzzsaw beats everything. The decoder slot is so weird in System Gateway. I remember Mimic not being boostable, but no, Mimic was not boostable. And like, Mimic is arguably playable, but this is what I like. The card actually has a downside that you feel like you can capitalize on. But obviously in the case of Turbine, it's not a thing. The newest set actually feels like a pretty serious nerf to the Turbine archetypes. Decks are either just going wide and punishing their setup on Logjam and Treeline or rushing out. Hey Spark, how's it going? I agree. Right, like the 25 acid decks, it's like such a hard thing to me because I feel like we swung in two directions really, really ridiculously, right? Like the 25 acid decks, which is a lot. Turbine's not good there. Sure. But then if you end up not playing Turbine, and then you end up playing against an Ag Infusion, and heaven forbid they play a Sisyphus, like you're not winning that game. Right? Like we have two extremes where it's really hard to address both of them unless you play like a generalist list. And I think that's kind of difficult right now, right? I do agree that I do not feel good right now in the meta playing Ice. I didn't bring this up too, but like another problem that I ran into consistently while playing this A Teia deck is that, and it's not super popular, but you run into Aquaceres Crew. And like you cannot res a Vampirnas for 7 or even a Botu for 6 and get it trashed immediately with Aquaceres Crew and Devil Charm. Like you just cannot afford to do it. So I feel like I'm playing more decks that feel bad resing Ice. Right, like we even play into Az with like Saucy, obviously, Window of Opportunity, and like having Ice felt bad. Like genuinely, Ice felt bad, and that's not a place I think people are excited to be the game to be in. So I don't know. Mimic is discount echelon. I don't think it's that. I hear you, Axu, but I do think that you can genuinely just install a Mimic and like run into drafters and not have to worry about it. Yeah. Apart from Unity, Claudia, how's it going? Libisomu and Buzzsaw aren't playable decoders in the current meta though. Imagine if Buzzsaw didn't exist and you had to pay Shibboleth to those 3 sub-6 strength code gates. Like that's the weird thing is like I honestly don't know what side I'm on. It's good that you can break Vampirnasa for 2 credits, but like imagine you couldn't break Vampirnasa well. Like what do you do? And like obviously Vampirnasa was printed with Turbine in mind. So, but like if you just ban Takobi, or sorry, if you just ban Turbine, like the monkey's paw is gonna curl so hard that you're gonna run into like Ag Infusion decks that are like on all the most taxing Ice, and like you're gonna struggle. So I'm not like this is so hard to fix. Like I'm not saying it's unfixable. It's just like I don't have answers. I just know how I'm feeling, and how I'm feeling is not always accurate. And it's not always because of the things that I think it is. Hopefully the game designers know exactly what I'm doing. I just want to share my experiences over the last couple of weeks, spending days trying to make A Teia do something. It is very tricky. And if Ice gets too good, then you end up in like, you know, the other side where it's not fun. I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard. I don't get to the endgame runner state very often in RWR. I think I agree, Spark. Is like we're playing a deck that wants to hopefully win on turn 14 and then feels slightly too slow. It feels too slow. Maybe because unplayable when Echelon exists and 1 influence. I don't agree with that. I think the case that you want to pull up Mimic is that you're specifically dealing with like drafters, face checking, decisiveness on the crew. It's like you cannot pay 5 credits to break a drafter. 100% on having to tech against the corp you face, but at best being able to do 2/3 of op and banner glacier. Yeah, the extremes are really extreme. Banning Devil Charm makes Aquaceres Crew less toxic. Yes, if there's no Devil Charm, I'd feel much better about Aquaceres Crew. I wonder if losing Cleaver would be enough to make the Buzzsaw rig unviable. Your next best Fractor isn't getting much from Turbine. It could, and that's like this fascinating thing. Is like if you target one card and then it turns out like the Turbine rig isn't worth pursuing. I don't know. I think one of the things that's now genuinely going to be very difficult to balance around is that Shaper has access to 6 simul chips. Maybe this is a bit of the Jeff showing, but like Propeller seems good enough. The amount of barriers that you have to break, Propeller can be fine. For a deck that functionally has 3 Muse, 3 simul chips, and even sometimes a reset button, because we have the full reset your deck recursion card. I'm not upset. Right? And this card is okay with Turbine. It's not amazing. It's still okay. And the fact that it is actually notably on 2 strength means that you don't sweat the small stuff, which is kind of important. Like you don't want to use power counters to deal with like pings and border controls and, you know, whatever nonsense, tattoo bolas. Like that's really important. So I think somebody could switch to somewhere else. On one hand, I'm stoked that Propeller seems to be like a cogent breaker because it does seem to have a built-in downside. But my experience playing a corporation is that the Shaper always feels like they have the capability to do nearly anything, where it feels hard to meaningfully tax the Propeller out because, again, they have functionally 6 SMC, 6 simul-chips, some overlap because Muse is kind of ridiculous. So that's really tricky. Are we playing Pressure Spike? No, we're probably not. But like maybe you could. Is Pressure Spike that good with Turbine? No, it's not notably that good. There's not a lot of 3-strength barriers. My Jeff is showing? Yeah, hey Saver. We still have Leech for Emperor now. Exactly, Carrie. And I think I'd like that better. I think I'd like it a lot better. I mean, and then the viruses seem more reasonable. Is that if somebody has to leech to get their Buzzsaw to break Vampire Nasa, and then there's some way that we can play around them, I would feel a bit better about that. Like, the design of Leech is enduring for a lot of reasons. Vampy doesn't end the run, just tank the subroutines. It's not exactly attainable. Especially when they score a Sisyphus and you're criminal. Barriers being the average highest strength in Glacier deck and also being the most important ice to break makes the fractor efficiency more important. Yeah, it truly does. And also, like, huge shout out to the fact that Physarum doesn't break barriers. Right? Like, we don't have a cheat button for barriers, which you would love a cheat button for barriers in Shaper, let me tell you. I think you would. Or Monkey Wrench? Yeah, I don't know about the Monkey Wrench. If they ban Turbine, do we put Monkey Wrench in RE? No, I think you just play the next best thing. You just play Takobi. Heaven forbid you play an Ice Carver. Like, I think you don't do Monkey Wrench because it's so much work that you much rather, like, this is nonsense for 3 influence. At least you can come off the Gachapon. But you're probably better off doing something like this. That's my guess. I don't know. I think Monkey Wrench is a lot of slots. I don't think Propeller is good enough against specifically Wayland that can figure out you're only on Propeller. I don't know if the deck of that's actually like log jamming out that hard is like that big of a problem. And if it is, like, I think you attack it with Hush. But I honestly don't know. Not good into super rare, but common ice. Propeller's sick into Brawn. Propeller breaks Brawn for 3 credits. That's kind of the best in class. I don't know. I like if they're resing 6 credits in the early game to jam behind a Brawn, you break it for 3 credits. I feel good about that. Usual case, Shaper gets good. Everyone hates the fact Shaper is good. Shaper stuff gets banned. Shaper gets a joke against C in 2 rotations. But for real, that is a thing that designers are aware of and is something that has come time and time again. If Shaper is good, Netrunner is bad. I agree with that. I'm not saying Netrunner is bad right now, but like that just fundamentally, if your faction is, if I get to the late game, you lose, you got to do something else with that faction. And I think NSG's been doing a lot to make that faction more interesting, right? Like a bit more aggressive, a bit more, you know, interaction, a bit weird. Like, I don't know. I like it when Shaper's a bit more tricky, but I do not like that Shaper's a brute force siege. That at some point they're set up and you're cooked. So I think Shaper has to be somewhere similar, but not exactly there. Because I do agree. There's this old sentiment, I think Whiteblade. If Shaper is good, the game is bad. And I do agree with that. I think it's hard for that to change unless what Shaper does changes fundamentally. Hey Pod, how's it going? I'm for not run a Shaper. Yeah, I like running Shaper. I do like running Shaper. Part of issue that's a section of the Shaper fantasy is the big rig juggernaut that can break everything for 2 credits or less. Yes. And that is not healthy. I know that people want to do it. They want to like stim hack out their torch out. But once that's on the table, the game collapses. Right? Like, I don't know. I just don't feel like at the corporation there's enough tools to like, okay. And like torch is not even that good right now. Like imagine this was a good payoff back in the day. Obviously this is a joke right now. But you know what I mean? Trickshot and slam R&D. Yeah. I don't know. I wish Trickshot was trickier. I honestly wish Trickshot was trickier. I wish that for this to pay off, you had to like install a card during the run. I do wish Trickshot was trickier. I don't think Trickshot's tricky enough. I think Trickshot's a really cool card, but it's an immense amount of value. It does not feel like a trick. I wish that to get this ability, you had to do something bizarre, like install a card during the run. Like I wish you had to plan around it a bit better. Ephemeral Toolbox Shaper is way more fun to play. Exactly. I wish Shaper was more tricky and less siege. What we need is a restricted list, but only for icebreakers. It's generally like a nice way to deal with that balance issue. To be like, if you want to play Buzzsaw, you can, but you cannot play Takobi or Turbine. It's not elegant, but it is a way to enforce like a lot of the downsides, which is cool. It's really, really cool. I also don't think I realized, like, you know how Clone Chip, so Clone Chip was back in the day, the recursion card. A Clone Chip, very simple. You know, just install a card from your heat, paying the install cost. And then NSG, mind you, years later, redid Simul Chip, which is like Clone Chip, but with additional text. And obviously this is much more overwrought and a complicated card, but genuinely Simul Chip is hella sick. It forces ugly trashes to reinstall. It makes it cheaper, which is obviously very important in certain engines, but it's a card that you have to plan around more than just like sit there and fire, which is sick design. I like it a lot. I didn't realize that in theory, that is the same sort of idea about how like NSG just took Levy AR Lab Access, which is simple, and then just like simul-chipped it to make it Ashen Epilogue. I don't like Ashen Epilogue. I wish it wasn't in the game, but like I just did not realize that that they like simul-chipped it. They gave it the simul-chip treatment, which is like, make it weird or something. It's very funny. Sharpshooter Deus Ex rigs was such a hoot to play. Yeah, they were fun. Like what was that one? Panchatantra stuff. This event-based kits where you take overclock trick shot feels being in a fight. Yeah, but it just feels like them just hammering you. Like it doesn't feel like the sort of elegance. It just feels like boom. I don't know. What does a simul-chip gamble hedge look like? Sorry, Solomir. Start combining trick shot and slipstream. That's the ultimate trick shot. Assuming you really want to access HQ. Wait, can you do that? That's sick. That's really sick. When you pass a res piece of ice, you may trash slipstream. If you do, choose a piece of ice protecting a central server in the same position. You are now approaching that ice. I'm pretty sure trick shot says R&D, no? I'll get it one day. Yeah, breach R&D. You can't do it. You can get the credits, but you can't get the multi-axis. Oh, I see. What does a simul-chip gamble hedge look like? Yeah, it's Creative Commission. It is Creative Commission. Which is cool, right? Like, I do think the economy cards with the restriction, like, are cool. The problem with you have to do a trick, Shaperix can at some point, if face plants you have to fall back to I win late game part of the faction. Yeah, but I wish there was just no fallback. I wish you were forced to do tricks. I wish, like... Okay, that's not actually gonna work. This might. Right, like this. These are the sort of, like, absurd engines that you have to put a lot of effort and thought into. They obviously don't have a payout, but for those who don't know, Kais are the reason I play Netrunner today. Genuinely the why I play Netrunner, because I watched a Team Covenant video and they showed like a bishop or something, like a pretty bad card, and it was like something that hosts on a piece of ice and moves around when he makes successful runs or whenever you know, pawn works like that. And these cards are so damn cool because it is so into the idea of the physicality of the board space and like positionality and directionality. It's just kind of really charming. I went to the board game store and asked. They had extra pieces of like an old decommissioned wooden chess set that and they gave me a bunch of pieces, and I had that in my deck box and I used those to move around. Sick. But these are the sort of cards where like I wish that you had to do something that showed like more creative prowess, and we're kind of there. Like I do think one of the big strengths of this Shaper right now is that giving two players the same Arasana deck or like the same spec work, you know, do they simul-chip on the corpse turn to trigger Lily Pad to bring out their what's it called, their Coalescence to gain 7 credits and draw a card, or do they keep it to do, you know, Y on the corpse turn, like on the runner's turn? I think that's kind of interesting. It feels like there's so many tools that do something similar that it's hard as the corporation to tell what they're capable of. Is that any board states? Maybe that's worth something. But I do think that some Shaper decks, specifically like Arasana sort of stuff, they do still feel like they have creative expression. I can't believe all 4 Kais are different artists. I didn't also realize that was a Liga. That's sick. My first deck was Red Queen. Let's go. I built my first deck based on those. Yeah, young Chrissy. Let's go. Street Chess. Yeah, Street Chess is really good. Kickflip to win. Yeah, so I don't know. I wish it was a bit more convoluted. I wish it was a bit sillier, but not just because I'm brute force. It'd be like with creativity, you can solve problems as opposed to like just having the good numbers on your cards can solve problems. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, let's build a deck. We've been talking for an hour. Okay, I'm getting really warm. I can't open the window really. I got a spare chest set to play with Kais and then never played the deck in person. Oh, you're missing out, Solomir. You got to put it in a cube or something. They sound much up to Priest and Ass to make Adrian. Yeah, technically. Well, not more restrictions. There's not downsides. Sometimes the Ash... Yeah, okay. I get it. Okay. When the last set came out, I think I'm on tape saying that it's a bummer NBN got no ice. And that's somewhat proven to be true. I don't think it's going to be true forever, but the NBN ice suite that came out in RWR just didn't really do anything so far, but it still can. And this card's fascinating. It's Piranhas, costs 5 to res 6 strength. It's basically Valen Chow, but changed into a different faction and cares about cards less than money. As initial cost to res his ice, either take a blood publicity or remove a tag. Giving bad publicity in an NBN deck is kind of interesting. I think I've seen Piranhas see some amount of play in like Neurospike decks where like the game is going to be hopefully over when they do some sort of re-education combo. Sometimes it's Jupstad, not Neurospike, when they kill you on turn like 4 or 5. So that doesn't matter so much, but cards in hand can matter. So the bad publicity is really bad, and it's the reason why you don't exactly see this in like horizontal NBN decks, like at 25 asset NBN decks, because while this is an annoying piece of ice that is genuinely hard to deal with, and is tempo technically for corporation, you cannot give bad publicity to 25 assets for obvious reasons. Remove a tag. I haven't seen anyone use that. That's interesting text. I think I have seen people play. I think Not Again was playing like Val and Chow in Reality Plus, which like behind a ping or a funhouse, I could see that being pretty good. That's interesting. I'd want to work that, but I do think, you know, that's still a choice. But literally, I've been iterating heavily in a Piranhas deck. Pod, what are you playing in? I think I want to play in PE, unfortunately. So you may draw a card. Good text. May is great to see there. Do 1 net damage. Very good. And end the run if there are more cards in HQ than in the grip. So it's a 2-card swing. So the idea is that if the corporation's on 5 cards, which is hard for the corporation to have bigger hand size, I don't think you're playing this in PD that easily. The runner runs into that, they often go down to 4 and you go up to 6. So there's a 2-card swing. Now, if it's more cards in HQ than in the grip, so if you're tied, so if you do draw, run, then you actually break this for free, which can be kind of troubling because they do break this for a single draw action as much as they lose a random card because they'll be on 5 and no, you'll be on 6. You have to actually do draw. That always is not intuitive to me. This sort of card is annoying. It's just generally hard to break. It's a 6 strength code gate. So like if we're going to get buzzsawed, at least we'll get buzzsawed into this. And this card kind of reminds me about something similar, but obviously a lot cheaper to play, which was Mouseless. And in some ways even to Ingram Flush. But Mouseless is kind of the same idea. More strength than is to res, so you don't take a bad publicity. And all these are annoying. Gain a credit, do an damage, give the runner a tag. Those are obviously nonsense subroutines. You generally don't triple advance this, so you don't have to worry about that text. You do in some cases. But this sort of card for 3 influence showed up in PE decks. Just because having a taxing code gate that did some amount of damage is kind of tricky. The question is it better in PE just to play Piranhas? And honestly, maybe, but I do want to try this card out. And I think PE or some sort of damage-based Jinteki is one of the natural homes for this, because in damage-based Jinteki, a lot of times you don't care about economy that much. So bad publicity, you can give bad publicity to the runner because it doesn't matter how many credits they have, it's more so much how many cards they have. Also make these subroutines a bit more impactful. We can also build, not no one home, bring them home. We can play Bring Them Home, which is another like 3-card loss from the runner, as much as it is a card loss from our hand. So our Piranhas can be better for those turns and for those windows that we set it up. So the idea is that our Piranhas are fundamentally a 6 strength end the run, which is worth something as long as the runner doesn't have cards in hand. Now, maybe we're in a lose more or win more situation because if they don't have cards in hand, we're already winning with PE. But if they do, we're already losing. So our ice is also bad on top of that. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but we're going to give it a shot because it seems kind of fun. And it's an interesting piece of ice with some pretty big downsides to it. I don't think we're going to run bad publicity removal. I think we're just going to enjoy it. I've been playing Piranhas in tempo PE. Yeah, Jad, I think that's kind of the way to do it. I kind of like that idea. Call your deck sashimi. Only ice named after a fish? No, really? Only ice named after a fish? That can't be true. Didn't we play the classic trout? Corporate trout shooter. Oops. Bad pub money doesn't matter when they're facing down a public trail. I think public trail, admittedly, like that's a problem is if you run Piranhas in your PE deck, it's like 9 influence and you play 3 on Spin Doctors. So you can't really play like see how they run or any weird like end of line kill combo. Are there really no fish? It does sound like PE is a great home for Piranhas. Hadn't thought of it though. Yeah, it's fine. It's like damage. Are you going for red value, JM? I wouldn't say value, but we're definitely going red. I know people who really rate Piranhas. They're playing superconducting. Yes, I think that's another deck that I saw it in. It's the sort of like QTM superconducting hub. What's it called? A king making deck. And in that deck, it does make a lot more sense because the corporation consistently is on 7-card hand size. Then it just does have a good text on it. That deck is not the fastest. So like the bad publicity will catch up to you because it's not like super glacier. I do think the deck is probably running Hydras, but it's something there. Are we tagging? No, you can't. Well, we could play Phoneutria. Honestly, Phoneutria into Piranhas. Why not? Yeah, why not? Let's put a little, not like we're splashing tags, but we're going to play like Phoneutria. I'll say it a different time every time until one of them is right. I played along. Oh, there you go. I played alongside Phoneutria, but you might not even have to take the bad pub. Yeah, there you go. Bye. I disagree about the bad pub not mattering. Not needing to spend as much time on econ makes it easier to draw and run more. Yes, but it's not as important in other things. Obviously, it's going to matter because you do give them click compression. You're totally right. And then if they don't have to play that daily cast, they have 1 more hit point. Like it's not 100%, but out of any matchup, it's the one that I think There's snare in faction? Yeah, we'll definitely play snare. But like you can't get your snare to res your Piranhas cheaply because of the way that works. Let's try it. Standard. Jinteki personal evolution. We need to still figure out what our win condition is, which is kind of an issue. Like, I still don't know if we know how to win in Jinteki PE, but we're just gonna put a bunch of cards in there and like see what they do together. So collection standard. So let's play all of the 3 piranhas because it is reasonable. In terms of cards that interact with bad publicity, what can remove bad publicity right now? There is Roughneck Repair Squad, which is 1 influence. It's slow. Obviously pretty slow. And then there's that unfortunate upgrade, which is, yeah, they run end of line. It's really hard though, Carrie, because you have to spend like 8 influence or yeah, a lot of influence on end of line. And then you probably need seamless or something. You not necessarily, but like that's a lot of influence. And thank you, actually increased drop rates. This is also only some influence. So we can always place this. And if we care about the tags too, like we could get away with increased drop rates and 2 piranhas. And we run 3 spin doctors. And then we have 1 influence left over for a very, very, very spicy insert 1 influence card here. Let's try that. Okay. So we need to figure out how we're going to win. So Blend the Water seems okay. They don't have cards in hand, but they're going to try and keep their hand up because of this. Orbital superiority doesn't cost influence. I don't believe in it, but I understand it. See how they run? Mind you, we could tempo see how they run. If they have core damage, the piranhas get better. I'm going to hate this because I'm going to have to score this out. It's going to cost money, but here we are. We're going to do Sting. We're going to do House of Knives. House of Knives is really cool with the piranhas because then they have to have more cards than they think they do as long as we keep the counter around. I guess we play 2 Fuji at a minimum. Where are you? And then like maybe you could play a viral weaponization, but that's pretty difficult. Anemone, yeah, I think Solar Mirror, we're not gonna be running a lot of ice. My guess is we're gonna run on piranhas, anemone, and then maybe tributary, which I think is just totally fine in any acid deck or any like Jinteki deck. It's just good. We need only 1 more influence, or sorry, 1 more agenda slot. We could do a Blood in the Water. Seems okay. Yeah, too many 4-2s? Vadim, I don't think you're incorrect. But the answer is 3. Is 3 4-2s too many? Not really. This is expensive. Like, we need this to be good. We just need money. What's the plan A and B? Kill them, score, vice versa. Thanos, we don't know yet. We're hoping to discover what the plan is during deck building. But unfortunately, like, spending 9 influence on piranhas does not a deck make, right? Like, it's gonna be great. Just get 2 super conducting in. Honestly, not the worst idea. That's not terrible. That is not terrible. F it, why not? Okay. So assets, we want to make sure that we're putting things on the table and we're being a bit annoying. Charlotte, I like a lot in these sort of decks. 2 hybrids seems good. It's like you can play Regenesis, you can play hybrids. I'd actually rather play Regenesis than hybrids. I like them a lot more. Face down cards and archives, we can set that up a bit with Charlotte, but not a lot. Regenesis though is really good because you can score a Fuji or a superconducting or a C Sting. Like that's okay too. Oh, Phoneutria, yeah, okay. So we might be running a bit more ice. So Phoneutria, we'll do Anemone. In theory, you want to play Tattoo Bolas, and then maybe we play 1 Tributary and just hope you draw it. That's 12 ice. That's probably fine. And now we just need to put things in a remote server and be annoying. Sting is a bad nombo with Regenesis. It doesn't do the damage, but it increases the damage of the other stings. It's not what you want to do, but it works technically. I don't like Bladderwort. I don't understand Bladderwort. Ideally, we're not under 4 credits. If we are, we're going to lose the game anyways. Then like, this is definitely a Daniela deck, but I think you're totally right. Mitosis maybe? Moonpool maybe? Moonpool probably. We need money though. Like we have no money. Such as P, I think. Bean, how's it going? What else do we want? I think we need to play Snare because obviously cards in hand matter. We probably have a Rashid out. We're going to have like a 59 card deck suddenly. I don't know if we need more traps in this. I think we just need to make the remote server really ugly. So we need to play See How They Run. Or sorry, Bring Them Home. Then we need Daniela for the remote server. I played 11 agenda of Miss Mario. Avoid that flood up. Moonpool looks good with as many agendas. Yeah, it's definitely going to help. It's going to be expensive though. The problem is we have no money. It's almost a deck. Like the idea is that you can jam behind ice. Let's see what this draw's like. This doesn't feel like it has enough economy. Okay, opening hand. Not good. We'll keep it though. Oh, it's getting better. Bladderword's gonna fire once. We're gonna get 1 credit and then gonna trash it. Seamless for the influence. Seamless is 2 influence. There's fewer fish than I thought. Carl, Afron's a clam. Anemone is not a fish. Anemone is not a fish. Afron is not a fish. Carl is a fish. Botu is a bottlenose. Yeah, there is fish. There's Elwyn. But I don't think a bottlenose is a fish technically. I don't think they are. 1x influence on business as usual. I don't think we're going to be advancing cards on the table that often. Oh, Mindscaping is almost money. Oh, man, I really don't like Mindscaping. We should play Mindscaping, though, in case they tilt and go tags. Mavirus, yeah, but it's a slots issue. Like, 13 agendas has an impact on your deck building, it turns out. I guess we'll cut the trib. 51 cards. Mindscaping, Hedge Fund, bring them home. Then Yella on 2. Maryland for the 1 influence? Maybe. I wonder if we'd be happier with the magnet, but I don't know if we need more ice. Phoneutria. Like, is there single tag punishment for 1 influence, maybe? There probably isn't, right? Why is there that many cards with the word tag? Oh, because I didn't sort by influence. Retribution, Planogram. I honestly think Planogram, maybe. No Hansei, I love Hansei. It's hard. I think we should play Hansei. We definitely should play Hansei. I think we not need to do this. I think we need to play, we just need more slots. Cohort. The thing is, like, we can't ice our stuff up. And the problem with like playing these sort of like assets that fire once and then the runner sees what they are, they should just trash them. Right? Like, for assets to be good, you either need to protect them or you need doing something at a speed in which the runner cannot feel like they can trash them. This does not look like either of those decks. This deck looks like it can barely have 1 remote server. Super decking with Genesis doesn't work. It works. You don't draw 2 cards, but you get extra hand size. Because you don't score it, you just get this bottom text. It works, sort of. Acid Paradigms, why have you had to figure out Strigotic Resonator? There's like a thing, Solomir, where I want to consider A Teia with like Strigotic and like synth DNA modification. Like the damage A Teia is always like some sort of thing at a end of a fishing line that's kind of pulling me down a hallway. Oh, this looks like a pile. This looks like such a pile. How do we score see how they run? We do install advance advance. That's not particularly good. I think we give up on see how they run. You can't play through Fuji that easily, can you? Do we just cut this? This seems like not that important. Excuse me. Any chance you could take a look at the bad sub deck of mine? It's Argon. We can probably do that after. How's it going, by the way? It's kind of deck that needs SSL. It lives in water. It's a fish. Actually, do you take a bath? You fish? It's not a fish. It's not that easy. Everything's a crab or whatever. I don't know how it works. Okay, now we have 3 influence. That's good. Got back in the game because of you. Oh, cheers. You might not know that. You might know I'm not that hot on Seb, but I think you can have something fun for sure. Welcome to the game. Welcome back. I'm confused on the win condition. Are we kill, score traps? We're going to jam in our remote server and lose terribly. I don't think we have a strong win condition. We just want to jam in the remote server time over time over time, and then like hopefully have a window in which bring them home allows us to jam an agenda. The problem is like bring them home with Fuji doesn't really work. Punitive is not going to work because we have no money. I end up cutting increased drop rates, keep drawing it in the order, even in the deck that routinely gets down to 2 cards in R&D. The last 2 cards. Like, we kind of want a Mavirus in this deck. Kind of. Like, let's see what it draws like. The problem is we have no acceleration for agendas. Like, we need a Lacoste or something. Okay, this hand's fine, right? We do Piranhas on the remote server. We install the Sting, and we do just click for a credit. If we score the Sting next turn, we score the Sting next turn. We're totally safe to Centrals. We don't care. Okay, we're going to just click for 3, and then next turn Hedge Fund, I think. We can put the Virus in the remote server. We lose off the top of the deck, which is going to be a problem. We push some Virus, Hedge Fund. We probably put the Anemone on R&D. Maybe just the remote server. No mitosis? No, I don't think we do mitosis. I think we want to put things behind Piranhas. Or like, if we mitosis, we can't use our ice. Admittedly, they don't know what we have, but like, we're not actually one of those mitosis decks. It's a good economy card. Like, we're not, as much as we're not playing NGO front, but like, we can't actually use mitosis that well. If you are running end of line SDR kill, maybe look at test running fly team EA list. Yeah, but that's not on Piranhas. But I do remember that list. That was more trap space. That was on Mitosis, I think. But that was just like very, very shell game PE. Yeah, tempo in quotes. Looks solid IMO. I don't know about that. VSA is such a wild include. Yeah, this is an acid tempo deck. I don't want to play this. Like, I do not want to play this. This is the sort of deck that you could mitosis in more. But this is the idea that like you just keep your money up and trash everything and hopefully don't die. Falsely, it's interesting. Quagsire lives in the water? Is it a fish? What's a Quagsire? Friday seems tailor made for the NBNP April Fool set. Yes, really good in that. Stick Superconductor in looks reasonable. We have 52 cards. We have to unstick something. I wonder if Hansei we can't even afford. Okay, this hand's fine. We got worse. Would Tadjibilla have enough targets? Maybe not, but having a cheap end run barrier is okay. It probably won't have a target though. I think you're right. Like, we're not going to hold ice in hand. Okay, well, here we have it. But I just kind of value forcing an icebreaker out. Right? Like, if we're a damage deck and they have to still install their Fractor, like, that's pretty good for us. But it's not so much the text on it. It's just like it's a fine cost for a barrier, I guess. Are you really mooning here? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. It allows us to deal with agenda flood, but I'm assuming our agenda flood is dealt with by just putting in their mode server behind Piranhas. Maybe we aren't. Maybe we're not. She seems important. She seems like our only real defensive upgrade. So we're in 51 cards. We're almost there. We're almost there. Cut a snare? Never. Maybe we cut 2 House of Knives for another Blood in the Water. Is that absurd? 2 snares peak. Take that back, Joe. Take that back. Guess he didn't read me. Going 3 data loop, 2 Piranhas, and 3 spins influence. 3 blood Fuji. How much influence is data loop? I don't know if we can afford data loop. 3, 6. Oh, we still have influence. Oh man, I want to play 3 Piranhas though, Claudio. I did miss your message. Apologies if that just happens. That's not like a quality of message issue. Data loop seems good. It's just data loop seems expensive. Taking unintentional shots at Axiom. It's my hobby. Powers that be, they'll just trash it. Like, this is a really big thing. Decks like this can go away, it can go and play, not go away, it can get away by playing this sort of like assets. Like, this deck could play a Powers that be. And why? Because it's running 23 assets. So the runner doesn't have time to deal with all the assets. So the assets, because every turn it can generally put 2 or 3 things on the table. The runner cannot deal with 2 or 3 things. Look at this deck and tell me how fast does it do anything? And the answer is slowly nothing, which means that we cannot put assets on the table on the assumption that they will stay based off of their trash cost alone, unless we're playing against a runner that fundamentally is playing just a bad economy. If they have a bad economy, congratulations. We have a powers that be that sticks on the table. But that's like this sort of hard thing where it's like either you have to swing into it because like playing 1 asset every 3 turns that they have to go check and trash. Maybe they think it's a snare. Maybe it fires once. But for me, the way I look at deck building, that generally doesn't make a lot of sense. One Angelique could be used for the last few influence. I think we want to do Data Loop, but Angelique's also not bad. I do like Angelique though. Miss Bones can absolutely deal 23 assets. No, she still struggles. Cut Daniela, not a card we want to draw early. Very hard to trash. I think it's a card we do want to draw early. I think Daniela is incredible. Sacrifices econ, like the card? Oh, you want to place how much influence? Sacrifice is unbearably bad. Forfeit an agenda to remove a bad publicity to gain $1. Yikes. I quite like the extra blood. It punishes the steals of Daniela. Exactly. Like, I think we need to swing into Daniela blood Piranhas just to get like, the problem is like scoring up bloods doesn't feel good. So maybe we can do something like that. And like try and claw back slots. I played sports today that it went empty, naked Maryland, Nico, and kept a wage from JNet. JNet casual lets more assets stick than you expect. Still lost though. Yes. Yeah, maybe. But like the quality your opponent obviously has an impact, but I don't know. It's not something I want to build a deck around, being like, I think someone's going to let this stay, even though that's wrong too. Warm Reception Fun Company, same idea. Just they shouldn't leave it on the table. And Front Company is very expensive. We can't ice centrals that well. I think we're almost there. Let's cut this. We won't regret it. I think we cut a Mindscaping because it's a Mindscaping. That seems right. This is getting there. I think this is playable. One influence. Anyone have any ideas? More Blood in the Water and Piranhas, the theme synergy. Yeah. I didn't realize how strong the theme synergy is there. This is Blood in the Water. These are Piranhas. They're made for each other. We have one influence. Mindscaping is actually a bad econ card. Yeah, it's not an econ card. It's a bad everything card. Besides the kill deck that kills you. That one is pretty good. Like, we probably do that. I'm happier with that, I think. Wait, is this deck sick? This deck might be sick. Are you hoping to benefit from the see how they run core damage? Yes. Core damage. That's it. Just the core damage. That's all I want. It's just the core damage. Really was so good and so expensive. It's expensive for sure, but that's why we have one. I think this is something. All right. Blood in the Water. How did I not realize the theme was so good there? Yeah, I don't think the see how they run is going to be stellar in this list. It's just like, we're going to try it. It's not very good. It's kind of, it's good for Piranhas. It's good for Blood in the Water, but it's not great. Shitter Planogram synergy, yeah. Maybe you need Urtica Cypher to scare them. They think there's Urtica. They always think there's Urtica. You don't need to play Urtica. You just need to play closed deck lists. You just need closed deck lists. Blood in the River. That's all you need. Add another fish ice for Carl. Not bad. Not that we should add it. Yeah, we have a lot of aquatic stuff so far, but we could play Botu. Botu, mind you, is also fine. 6 strength, 6 cost barrier. Alec, how's it going? Corp. We are an hour 40 in, so it's time for our first Netrunner game. How you doing? Carl does core send it? Carl probably is fine. Carl's probably fine. Carl's can't be more than one influence, right? How much is Carl? I think we're all pronouncing her Carl wrong. And by pronouncing, 3 influence. Okay. Not great, but thanks for asking. Oh, hopefully it gets better. You want a nice place to hang out, at least something. You have a place for that. Hopefully things get better. Akiko, okay. I don't mind about R&D. We'll keep this hand. Carl's a glorified Enigma. Enigma doesn't do core damage. I don't know what you're talking about. Carl's sick. Do we just push out a House of Knives and leave R&D open? All the snares are in there. That seems kind of fun. For those who don't know, Kiko has 12 influence. It says when you run R&D, you have to play a side game. If the bids differ, they see an extra card. Now it's Psych Mike. We should pay $1. So now they only get one. Oh, that's the way you lose the game. If they steal one of these early, you're so cooked. Oh, at least we got an Ashen. And a Buzzsaw. We figured it out. We solved the meta. We got Buzzsaw Turbine turn 1. I think we can leave this there. We just need Ice Up R&D. This is the sort of deck that's going to run like Beatriz and Iru and all that sort of stuff. So we'll draw up a bit. Be cool. Yeah, losing a Fuji, especially when you're not positioning a threat, is really, really bad for us. On the basis that the Fuji text doesn't matter when you win the game, so stealing one early is the worst thing for you. The best thing about not having 3x snare in your deck is that there are never 3 snares face up in Arkham. You just gotta put marker on them. You just gotta write. Do we score this? We could also use Spin Duck to get rid of this. Yeah, I think we'd rather. I don't think they're gonna run HQ. Double Phoneutria gets really interesting. We need Ice HQ sooner than later. Good thing is we're on Bring Them Home threat. What's the clause? Only running trash. Okay, they have to trash a card. That's not gonna happen. Did you see US EC Nats is gonna try open decklist Swiss? What? Like the online one? Wait, which event are you talking about, Lava? Got a second Psych Mic. We're fine. In Boston? Oh, I have no idea. So they're just setting up. That's, I think, acceptable. So Simulchip gets access to Buzzsaw Turbine. I don't know if this is going to work out for us, but like, we have 9 credits. This ice could be anything. Is it actually in Boston? No, it's in Providence. Cleaver's on the table. Okay. I have never scored one of these out. Let's see what happens. Oh, wait, the side game actually matters. I forget the side game when this one actually matters if you don't do it for if you do it for tempo. Roll a die. Oh no, it's the same place as an NPC. Oh, so this is not an NPC. This is something else. Okay, in person in Boston. What is this text? If the bids differ, do a core damage. So we do core damage most of the time. Take a core damage. They took a core damage. They have 4 hand size. We're technically winning. Does Kiko Nisei have a narrative relation to Nisei Mark II? Does Nisei actually mean something in the world? Yes, so Bin Bin. The Nisei clones are clones. They're just setting up. I get it. They're clones that have this sort of like precog, pre-crime ability, the ability to see the future. And the clone lines are actually narratively by number or by letter. So Akiko Nisei was the first, the A line clone, A for Akiko. Caprice is the C line clone. She came later. Now Akiko, from my understanding, is a 1 of 1 and has escaped. I think Caprice is also a 1 of 1 as much as they're clones. But Akiko is the first Nisei. Mind you, Nisei also means second generation, so that can tell you something about the clone line as well, potentially. But that is the narrative. That Akiko is the first, Caprice is the second. We saw A Teia Nisei, which is an L. Apparently they got worse as they aged. I think we have to wait for them to overextend, and then we will win. Caprice had sisters? Yes, I think, but I don't think the sisters are the Caprices. I think they're the D's and E's and stuff. Caprice was the one who was let out, as it were. Caprice is 2 turbine deck, classic. Caprice is she works in the field. She works for the I don't think she works for NAPD. There was a Jinteki ID called Nisei. It was the Nisei precog group. It was a fun ID. It's not very good. Yeah, I think she works for an NAPD. Okay, we can res no ice, but we're going to try and see what happens. I know we can't score it out, but I'm okay with that reality. They're just setting up, and then they're just gonna like send it R&D with a Beatrice, or they're probably gonna hit us with a what's her name, run archives. Steve, great. Can't tell when they're gonna run or not. Burner, very cool. Daniela. I remember playing Nisei Division on stream here, and you had to tell the chat we don't ID shame around here. I liked Nisei Division. I really genuinely did. I had a lot of fun playing Nisei Division decks. So they might still trick shot the remote server. That's probably going to be okay for us. But this is the sort of deck where like I think it just sits back and hammers R&D. It's a Phoneutria, so they have 4 cards in hand. So you can break 1 subroutine and take 1 net damage. Here they're floating a tag. They didn't have to do that. They actually could have let 1 subroutine fire. So we're going to do one of these so that they die to some other stuff. We hit an overclock, but Anachem drew. No, that's on me, I guess. Maybe that's why they broke it. Danielle and RD would be cool. It'd be okay. So they get money off of this. I don't think we can afford to pay. If they see more cards, I think it's okay for us unless they win. Oh, I think we lose. Wait a second. Wait a second. What is this about here? This is the second run. They actually can't steal to see how they run, because if we res the Daniela, we don't win, right? You can, yeah, we have to House of Knives here, because they die to see how they run. This seems incredibly dangerous. They would die to Anemone here. This is really risky. They would die to Hokusai. They die to everything here. Hasn't Knife them blend the water for the kill? I want to... Oh, the problem is we don't kill with see how they run damage. We kill with scoring it out. It's our choice. We actually could kill with Mindscaping if we top deck it too. Good game well played. They made like 2 runs and still stole 6 points. Do they have Clot? They have no way of pulling Clot. I just want to make sure. So we'll kill with the blood. It's so goofy that it just says score. In theory, they have to do it before we install. As soon as we install, we install, it's our paid ability window. So we have to wait for them to clot if they don't clot preemptively, but they died to this anyways. Thanks for the game. Yeah, this is what I mean. There's a lot of decks, and I don't mean this as deck shaming, that just ignores what you do and then just hammers R&D. And like here they ran hot, but they saw 6 agenda points in 2 runs. Like that is just fundamentally what happens when I play A Teia. It's like they make 2-3 runs on R&D and they win. It is what it is. Jinteki always seems to wild games. It's just like we were not in control of the wildness there. Our opponent was entirely in control of the wildness there. It didn't have to go like that. But I do think on JNet Casual also, especially when you're playing PE, people play so much differently than you'd expect them to play because it's PE online. Was it a runner mistake to trick shot? It's kind of unfortunate because you're building a deck with Psych Mike and a Kiko, so like you're incentivized to see like 3 or 4 cards in R&D if you can. Obviously against Jinteki, like if there's a snare there, there's death, so it's really tricky. So the question is on JNet Casual, would you rather play the deck very slowly and not play your deck, or just play aggro? And if you watch me play against PE, the answer is we just say I don't care. I'm just gonna play my deck the way it's designed and not care about the matchup. If it was a tournament, I would play slower, but I'm not going to not play my deck against PE on JNet Casual. That's just unfortunately the way it goes. I know a lot of people say like, oh, I have a PE deck I played on JNet Casual, I win 90% of my games. People do not play the same against Jinteki PE online. And we're on game 2 flatline. Yeah, Eric. We did 1 core damage. It's pretty good. Deck's sick, actually. I don't know. That's not on us. Oh, it's Argon. Sick. This is the deck, huh? Just send it over after. All right, so we're gonna ask for some feedback on the sub deck, so we're gonna get to see it in person. I forgot about it. Old Android lore was really sick. I have the old mind you. I actually should reread it and do a book review. I'm working on another Netrunner book review right now, I'll be honest. But this has a lot of lore in it. It probably explains the Caprice stuff. I don't know if they print these anymore. I don't think they do. But this is all FFG lore. I need to read more. I don't read enough. All right, against Seb, we want to ice HQ if a hot pursuit. Anemone on HQ is fine. We could also just say, like, I'm going to ice up a Rashida. I don't love this hand. I'll keep it. The lore book is tough read because it gets pretty dry at times. I believe it. It's probably a lot of different authors, and so, like, the tone might be inconsistent. I'm happy to own it, though. Is it really worth the Fuji having no punitive to follow? Would Bacterial be better with Hansei? I think the 3 damage clause is pretty good, Claudio. I could see why Bacterial is good. I don't think you need punitive for the runner to lose 3. Like, losing 3 cards from hand is like built into our game plan pretty heavily. Okay, we're just gonna let this fly. Anemone on remote server is totally fine for what we want to do. Now our ice will probably get Aquaceres crewed. At least Anemone does something on its way out. Okay, so a lot of folks say that you don't want to open with friend of a friend to take a tag, because the economy, it doesn't make that much sense. You want to remove a tag with friend of a friend. I see some board cases, states where you do, but generally friend of a friend, it's hard to clear tags in Seb to be good, but it's not hard to put economy in your deck. Oh, Thunder Gallery, okay. Okay, hear me out. That turn is sick. This is like where like the Seb deck spends so much to end up with 2 cards installed, and like immediately I was 7 cards of installables. Like it just feel, oh, you can't make this run. Oh, you died to snare. You die to a lot of things here. You sure? So you died to snare, you died to Fuji, you died to Sting. There's a lot of accesses here that you just die on turn 1. Like it's not a wise run. Yeah, hey, no worries. Yeah, anything that does more than 1 damage, you generally die to there. And if there's an agenda in the remote server, anything that does 1 damage, you die into the remote server too, unless you have a steel skin in hand. Seb, good thing all our ice is 2 strength except Piranhas. We have the one that gives us a tag, or it ends the run if they have a tag. That's kind of cool. All right, do you want to give a tag? Okay, remove a tag. There's some chance that Seb will have a tag and we can remove it from Seb. This is Thunder Gallery, mind you. You may avoid or remove a tag each turn. You may install a card lowering your grip. So that's good. Do we want to score out to see how they run? 3 cards in hand. We almost got there. So we'll put Blood in the Water in the remote server. I think we want to Hansei away the blood. Like the question is, what do we hold on to? We can do Piranhas in HQ, Charlotte, install Advance, and then we can worry about that stuff next turn. I think that's fine. Getting a Charlotte to fire consistently is pretty good. I mean, Ruse Jinteki got to 18 worlds. Yeah, marbles are great. And I think that's marbles, right? The mustache was key, yeah. I think Traps Jinteki is like legitimately can win games. I think the Hermes matchup is hard. I think it's higher stress in that Praxis. We're below threat, still very good. At some point we should ice up archives, but this is just gonna be a lot of value. Aqua Ceres Crew, that came from hand. Hannah. Piranhas doesn't trigger Thunder Art. No. Neither does it trigger Seb, because Seb has to remove the tag, not the tag be removed. You have to do it. Same with, well, not with Seb, sorry, with the console. The console says you have to remove the tag. So like, funny enough, when you're greasing the palm, they also lose their like amanuensis value, which is super unfortunate. Mustache monocle doesn't come through on Jaina, unfortunately. You can put it on your ID. Clear the tag, Thunder Art Gallery, Solidarity Badge. Sick. Haven't seen what's it called yet? A Steelskin Scarring, which is a card we're definitely gonna be playing around. But now Summer Rise gets eaten for free, which is not great. Anemone going down is okay. If it goes down cheap. Networking, okay, cool. That's obviously gonna make things a bit cheaper. We know then that there's networking hand, so one less Steelskin potential target. And now if we hit the networking, we hit the networking. Like, it feels good when they're planning to clear a tag a turn. Now, only 3 cards in hand. Like, you always want to keep your hand size up, so when we make a play next turn, we can jam, like, see how they run Danielle, and you have to deal with all of that. Oh, hand into the remote server. Okay. Yeah, this might hit the networking. If they Aqua Ceres crew it, I think we're fine with that. Trash a card. This is not last click, potentially. But I'm okay throwing out a see how they run. Lost a Mimic from hand and the networking, so 1 card in hand. They don't die to this, but potentially if they don't break this, and by break I mean trash it, they can die to Charlotte, being an agenda. We'll stay as a Lorna. The Caprice book, Strange Flesh, is dull as hell. I didn't read that one. I think the only one I read was Monitor, which I liked, the Leah Alexandra one. I enjoyed it. Isn't that a Byroad detective book? Been a long time since I read those. I think that's the one with the art from that Terminal Directive agenda. That's the Golem trilogy? Huh. I don't know how many FFG Netrunner art books there are, or sorry, fiction books there are. So in theory, this, if you think it's an agenda 2, you will just die on the table, because there's a lot of agendas that'll do more than 1 damage. So now there's a tag to clear and a Blood the Water. Okay, that's one way to do it for sure. I have that, I think, as well as the FFG novellas. Nice. So Solidarity Badge Earthrise is a bummer for us, because that's going to be 3 cards every turn. So we can do Danielle on top of a Sting. That's going to be annoying no matter how you slice it. Let's start with getting some more options. We have an agenda in the bin for sure. So we can Hansei the Sting. I think we're okay with the Sting in the bin. We generally don't want to score out the... we don't mind scoring out the first one, actually. So we can do Anemone Sting. That's probably a good start. We don't need the Daniela just yet. It's just a bummer they have the Blood in the Water in hand. That guy, you're probably going to hear this a bit later, but I don't think you're on YouTube live. You might be behind a bit, which on YouTube you can rewind the stream, which is a nice feature. But I don't think it does enough to tell you you're not live, because I think your answers to my questions are coming like 3 minutes later. Maybe that was just the way it was, but keep that in mind. When did you hear this in 3 minutes? Another Hannah, just getting value. Economy has been the problem here. 5 cards in hand, so we're still going to res this. It looks like it's going to do 3 damage. Trash a card from hand. We can get rid of the Blood in the Water. I think we're totally fine with it. With the Earthrise and Solidarity Badge, it's going to be a while till we have a window. So Amanuensis and, mind you, Valentina there. I'm going to move my camera over here. So nice to get rid of the card draw card. We're going to get another card in hand. It's a Thunder Art Gallery. And so the Sting is going to be 2 more damage. So you're suddenly on no cards in hand. Like, this is a relatively risky run. I don't think you expect this to be a snare, but if this is a snare, you can access here. Thinking? Yeah, hey, no worries. If it's a Fuji, you die. You don't expect an unadvanced card to be a Fuji, but there's a bunch of stuff that this could be lethal to. So for newer players, how hard is it to play against Jinteki? Like, what are your thresholds? How many cards do you think you need to access on which board states? Because a lot of this does come down to card knowledge. But I do think Snare does a good job to prime you. If you're respecting Snare, you're respecting just about everything. Because I think Snare is technically the worst case. Obviously, if it's advanceable, that's totally different. Yeah, checking out, which means you take a tag. Sometimes that's actually right. Another Valentina in hand, not on threat. So now if you have networking, actually making money, which is cute. But no badge. Yeah, wait, you're floating a tag here unless you Hannah. Drawing for a networking, I think. Funny enough, we could have Blood in the Water maybe if we score the Sting. No, or click short. Never mind. I have a lot of newer players in my meta, and Mitosis P does pretty well advanced. Yeah, I believe it. It is one of the decks that I think capitalizes on card knowledge more than some others. Right? Like understanding what 2 double advanced cards on the table, what's the chance they can kill you, and if that's possible on hand size is just card knowledge. It is a trickier matchup to learn. I might have greeted for Blood in the Water over Hanse. I think you're right. I just assumed with like Badge, Earthrise Hotel that we wouldn't get there for a bit. But I do think they're making riskier lines that maybe we could have held it. I do like Daniela though. I think Daniela is going to do work for us. All right, so they have a no free lunch. They cleared the tag with no free lunch. So they installed 2 no free lunches. We're just going to score this out. We still want to be able to do snare. So PE hits Aquasair Screw, feels good. And Jinteki hits a Urogniv Mercs. We don't care about meat damage. That's fine. I do think there's a pressure to play cards like these because if you're floating tags to Amanuensis, I do think you don't actually need meat damage protection in the meta. I think the tag punishment is coming with things like Self-Growth Program, Market Forces, Retribution. I don't actually think I would splash meat damage protection because I don't think I've seen a meat damage deck in a really long time. But I see why people would want to play a card like this. All right, 5 cards in hand, only 1 credit to trash. It's a snare. Will we fire it? I think we just have to. It's another tag. Second Aquasair's Crew. They get it. You can get an install. That's kind of cool. But we're okay clicking for credits next turn and putting Rashida in it behind the Anemone. So what do we hit? We hit Nuka, Amanuensis, Aquasair's Crew. So a lot of card draw. No free lunch being cracked. Leech coming down. So maybe just on Amakua, I'd imagine. But their card draw ran out there. Most tag punishment goes away next rotation. A lot of it does. Stadier, how's it going? We're not going to have self-growth, that's for sure. You're still worried about greasing the bomb, though, in Retribution. Huh. I guess we keep that in hand. We already have 4 points in the bin. Shout out to Rahi's trophy. But they're grinding themselves down. They're not presenting a win condition so far. And I do think some sub decks that's actually difficult. Unless you're running like Stargate, like the Manuel, we're not too worried about it. What's the symbol in Archives? Oh yeah, I just mentioned it. This is a new update. It reminds you that there's points in the bin. Our opponent obviously can't see it. If our opponent was a corporation and they had rezzed or like face up agendas in the bin, it's just a reminder that there's points in the bin so that I remember to use Spin Doctor. It's nice. Ashen makes grinding pointless. I wouldn't exactly say. I think Ashen labor rights, but I don't think those decks are super common. I think if you hit the Ashens, you can grind. So far, it doesn't seem like they're on rogue trading. So I don't know where the money is. Like Influence is networking a bit. Nuka, for sure, no free lunch. Thunderbolt is, mind you, Thunder Art is 2 influence each. So I don't know if it's on Hard Pursuit or rogue trading. And I think Thunder Art Gallery is actually really good with rogue trading because it makes the slower card a bit faster. I didn't realize there's an extension for JNet. It's not official. Rahi, she makes it. It's only for Firefox. It gives you all this text on top of the cards, all this like these animations. Like that's all Rahi, if I'm not mistaken, and it's kind of incredible. I highly recommend if you ever want to stream, please use Cyberfeeder. It makes it so much nicer. Okay, so we have an Anemone. What's our next agenda? Unfortunately, it's See How They Run, which like gives a tag. It's not the best matchup for that, I don't think. We could always allow. Nah. We need a Hansa here, that's for sure. Bring them home seems kind of good. I have to switch to Firefox. Yeah, it's only Firefox for now. I think we Hanse the Hanse because I like her hand. And then we can do See How They Run Daniela to set up hopefully some sort of fork in the near future. And then if something gets stolen or trashed, we do like Bring Them Home Advance in the other order. Piranhas, we haven't seen a Devil Charm yet. Piranhas obviously is pretty good. I don't think we mind the bad publicity with this economy. I think we'll try it. There's some chance that a tag will happen and then you run the Piranhas, which will be really cool. Gotta be careful. You can get the text on the cards in the settings menu above the chat log. Oh, there's a way to do it in JNet vanilla. Label unres cards and label face-up cards. Yeah, there's a lot of competing features for JNet. We could have considered icing up archives. Actually, into Praxis that's probably right. I think we could have put a Phoneutria there and not the Piranhas sooner. This counter being slightly lower is a cyber feeder thing, and I like it. That doesn't obstruct the art. I'm really into that. Or less obstructs the art. Where like the text is obviously unreadable at this distance. Also, you notice a lot of these, like, I think these symbols are all cyber feeder. Like the thinking ones, the HQ, trash, that stuff gets labeled well. A fairly new Netrunner, how can I get better? Pedro, how's it going? What I would recommend is asking questions. There's a bit of content online, admittedly not enough, about getting better. There's some deck building stuff. Check out Jane Sengren's channel. I have some videos like tips. That stuff is really nice. Oh, Eru is gonna be a problem eventually. Yeah, we need to ice up archives. The Phoneutria is not good into Seb. No spin? No, because they don't access with Praxis. What I would highly recommend, Pedro, is that there's a green level clearance Discord channel. You can get to it by going to discord.gg/GLC. And when you're new there, you can firstly say I'm new. You can go at mentor. It's a role. You'll see other people do it. And then you can basically say like, I'm a newer player. I'm very new to the game. I know the rules or I don't know the rules. Does somebody have some time to like walk me through a game? Stuff like that. This is last click with a tag. Oh, they have no free lunch, but this is very, very risky. That's what I'd recommend is go to GLC and like flag down someone with a bit more experience and they'll gladly sit down for a couple games and talk you through some stuff. 2 unseens, no seal, no trash. No credits though, so no trash. Does make sense. A lot of Netrunners unfortunately formed by experience and hard to communicate directly as a series of rules. Yeah, I think there's some basic rules. So we put out some stuff like we want to draw sooner than turn than later. Action at start of turn. Yeah, so find Thunder Art Gallery. All you. Privilege access doesn't access, can't decline. Yeah, it's not optional. So the no free lunches are some influence. We need ice up archives. R&D is wide open for what it's worth. I forgot we didn't ice that up. That's okay. We have another spin doctor, which is okay. So we'll just ice up archives. I think we'll put Danielle in server 3. And I think we can advance this once. Like we generally don't have that much money if they ever call us on this. I'm not sure we're excited to score out to see how they run. If we had a click left, like maybe we could do advance, and then we could like trash Eru or Manuel. That might be worth something. But they only have 18 hit points left and they still have no points, like no agendas. Pedro, let me know if that answers your questions, but I cannot recommend enough as a newer player getting into discord.gg/GLC and being like, I'm a newer player, and people will like sit down with you and help you. But if you have any direct questions like deck building, you have a first deck, stuff like that, we can help you live. And if you go to the YouTube channel, there is a video on the front page, 7 tips, which is nice. Okay. I end up being disappointed by see how they run and cut it from my A Teia tag deck. I could see that. Oh, see how they run. Yeah, I could see that for sure. I don't think it makes any sense. We'd be happier with any other agenda. Oh, God of War. Okay, so that's very expensive. Mind you, this is a reason to play Leech. We don't have a virus in the deck, unfortunately. But this technically breaks everything and gives you an infinite tag economy. As much as the infinite tag economy at some point gets expensive. Are we going to put all the points back in the deck? I don't know if we need to. Like, we can probably just put Snare and Blood in the Water. And then just next turn, or in a couple turns, put the Spin Doctor on the table. Because I don't think they have a reason to run archives. Oh, it's not a good one to have in hand. Hand is iced up. The problem is if we score this, we go down to 6 credits. They have a tag, which actually powers them up. I'm very glad to see how they run isn't good. Yeah, I'm with you, Jeff. And that's just because we don't want to call it shitter. We have Enderline? No. We actually have no tag punishment in the deck. We're just trying to get like hand size to matter to do Piranhas Blood in the Water because it's fun and thematic. All right, we just need to keep Snare money. PE damage first for info. Hit a networking. Feels okay. I think I'm constantly overwhelmed by the enormous amount of freedom the game gives you when it comes to playing your turn. So I feel like I'm constantly making unoptimal plays. You definitely are, Pedro. Of course you are. Most people do. All the time still. You've been playing for a long time. You good at this game yet? But all that being said, Fenris, we're going HQ. All that being said, what the best thing you can do a bit is plan your turn before you start taking actions. And hopefully that like irons it out a bit to be like, okay, this turn I want to do this and this. So you think if I want to draw my turn, I'm going to draw first. Running into ice when you don't have breakers as a newer player, that's very important. I don't care. Oh, actually, we do care. They'll pay 1. They paid 2. All right, they took 1 core damage. But yes. Things that you want to do, make sure you're constantly drawing. That's okay. You want to keep your hand full of options. You want to be running constantly. It's Netrunner. And don't worry about too much else. You'll be okay. Andre, this channel has a great 7 tips video. Thank you, Jeff. Come down to getting more experience. Yeah, more plays, definitely better for sure. The more plays, obviously. Okay, we need economy here. That's an anti-economy card. Nice try. Do we jam the Fuji? With slightly more money, we will. With slightly more money, we will. I kind of want them to score the Sting. They only have 11, 9, 12 more cards. Are the original core set starter decks worth playing? I got the cards for free. Every time I use the corpse seems to win. Maybe it's hard. Like FFG core set, Bean Bean? FFG core set's still fun. It's like less consistent. The highs and lowers are a bit more accentuated than NSG's System Gateway for sure. I think it's still cool to see it. Just like experiencing any obviously good game at a point in time is worth something. I do think it's much more inconsistent though. There's a lot more cards that are wildly unplayable as compared to NSG, in which I think all cards in System Gateway are playable within that environment. Want to bring them home last click? They have to have stolen or trashed a card. It was not an option. Gateway's so much better. Yeah, I do think Gateway's pretty good. They have a tag here. We could shuffle in. We're fine. Why can't I click on this? Oh, I can. So they'll see 2 cards here. Nothing. Wow. No steal, no trash. God of War is taking tags. So without they have 3 networkings, I think, in their deck. Yes, 2 so far we've seen. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 influence on Thunder Art Gallery. DJ's 10. So we're missing still 5 influence. Nuka 11, 12. So probably another Nuka and then like 1 more networking maybe. Networking timing is one of Andre's best videos to learn more. Hi to Rankin. I appreciate the feedback. I'm happy with how that one turned out, but it is 45 minutes and I do not recommend watching it until you are playing the game to the point where you care about the timing structure. Because with the basic understanding of how the timing structure in Netrunner works, especially in System Gateway where the timing structure is relatively doesn't matter, you're fine. You don't need to worry about it. So it's not my first recommendation, but I hear you. I think we just ice this up and click for credits, and then we want to score this out while still having enough money to res a Piranhas and or Fire Snare. I'm a bit hesitant to drop so much money on new cards when I've not played with the ones I've already. Maybe I have to make my own proxies. Oh, if someone's saying like, here's an FFG core set, I want $80, $90 for it, don't pay for it unless money doesn't matter. It's cute, but it's the sort of thing that like you can find FFG core sets on like buy sell trades for like free $10. I would not pay good money for the FFG original core set unless you want it as a collector's item. Mind you, I have a lot of them just over the years. Like my brother gave me his collection. Some friends gave me their old collections when they don't play anymore. So I have more of them. So maybe a bit of a jaded take, but I don't think the FFG core set is worth paying a lot of money to pursue. It's cute. It's neat. Well, that's it. 3rd networking. Okay. Buzzsaw. Okay. All breakers are down. So this God of War is just kind of an engine to get tags, which at some point is going to fall out of value. Smartware is infinite economy. Ooh, predictive planogram. That's econ. I think we just gain 5 credits here, and then next turn we can score at the Sting while still trying to res some amount of ice and fire snares. There's only 1 snare in R&D, but like we have a lot of agendas still in R&D. Once we score at the Sting, though, we can jam Fuji on top of the Daniela, and get with 8 cards, that actually might become a struggle. We just have a lot of ice still to res. And I don't think Zargon's on, what's it called? The chip, Devil Charm, which Devil Charm, mind you, is still pretty good with God of War. Is Julian Smartwood Distributor actually good? Hard to say. I don't think so. I think there's easier ways to make Julie good on cards that are more playable, like Telework or Nuka. I think the meta has to be really slow for Smartware to be good, and at least the competitive meta is faster than that. Single advance could be good there. It could be. It definitely could be. I just value having more money because I want to be able to res everything and then score out. Like I don't if he runs this or they run it, excuse me, I have no idea. They run it. So you take a tag here. It's kind of what you want. Now there's no good way to break this besides spending 4 credits. Like God of War is very expensive if you don't have a way to deal with the strength. I guess with Leech it's fine actually. Never mind. But we're gonna have to res most of our ice. It's so funny that we played the tag ice against this deck. There's no relation between how good Julie is and which resources she gets to click from. It's a 5th click on your turn, which will generally be the lowest value click of the turn. Spark, it's not so much like how that makes Julie better or worse. It's more so that like when you play Nuka and when you play Telework, you're better drawing those cards independently of Julie, so your deck overall is a bit more consistent. Like if Smartware is only you consider to be okay once you have all that set up, sometimes you just draw it backwards. And I think that's my point. Not so much that like, you know, it makes the card more playable. Oddly, I'd say FFG second core set is the worst starter product. I like FFG second core set a fair bit, I think. I think you actually could build a wider range of decks with that. It's way rarer, though. Oh, this is a Praxis run. I thought this was a Euro run. This is just more cards out of hand, which we're totally happy with. Like, we're down to 5 hit points. Why are they installing with Praxis? Because they want to play their deck, but you definitely need to have more than 5 cards to win the game when you're on 0 points. Like, you need to steal a Sting, that's 3 damage, and then, like, how do you score 6 more points? They have to steal a Fuji to win the game, functionally. I like Core 2 more. It was a much more consistent. Yeah, I think Core 2 was a much more consistent product. Like, I have a Core 2 on my board gaming shelf, and it has, like, pre-built decks in it with only the cards in it, and it like, I do think you have a wider range of options without feeling like there's anything that's super, super... Like, that was the problem with the original core sets. Like, there's certain cards that just make the rest of the card pool unplayable. Like, Magnum Opus, Account Siphon, you're good. You don't need much more of the core set. I doesn't feel like it's the case with Core 2, but I don't fully remember what's in Core 2. It's like Reyna, right? The perennial problem playing versus P, playing your deck versus playing the matchup? Yes. Yeah, for sure. But I also think Zargon's a newer player. So there's definitely going to be lines that don't seem entirely optimal, but they're figuring it out. They're playing a pretty nuanced deck too. They're out there playing their Euro board game. They're building their tableau. It's a game of Wingspan out there. Something up? It says that I'm waiting for you to resolve a runner gain tag trigger. If it doesn't show anything on your side, feel free to write close prompt. I'll do it too, I guess. Okay, it's all good. Apparently it's on me. The third smartware is a misplaying the matchup. I would argue that the second and first one might be. Like, you might be okay just clicking for credits in the matchup. But you just need hit points. You definitely don't want 3 smartware. That's for sure. But I think at this point, the ship has sailed in terms of hit points. Like, there's a lot of cards here that are just doing something to make, like, Seb do something. Like, the Scrubber coming down, it's not going to matter. But it's just, like, so you feel good about playing Seb. What would be most annoyed about here? I think Aquaceres Crew is the most annoying, technically. So Mimic comes down, okay. So now there might be, like, a bit more pressure. For what it's worth, like, maybe they figured it out, right? Like, Phoneutria doesn't do anything if you don't have 4 cards. So who knows? I got to put together a big install runner Seb for some memes. It's tricky. The bigger the deck goes, the less consistent it is. And, like, that's a problem with Seb, is the good cards are really good. So you really need to draw the good cards early. Revised Core had the issue where it had to save cards from rotation, so it had 1x of a bunch of weird cards that don't fit at all in the box. I couldn't tell you what was in there. I feel like Flare was in there. Is it Flare? Yeah. I couldn't tell you what was in the box's weird one-ofs. /S. It's just a bit expensive. Seb loves install runner. Yeah, did you see turn 1? Turn 1 they did nothing and they installed like 2 cards that was still in 5 credits and it emptied their hand, right? Like, it feels really cool, but then, like, unfortunately, that's my experience with Seb. It's like all those things do not do enough to play the game of Netrunner. It's unfortunate, but I do think, like, there's some light at the end of the tunnel for Seb eventually. It just needs a couple more support pieces. I wonder how long it takes to print and play starter proxies. I'm worried if it'll take a long time. Don't print everything, Bean Bean. Just print what you need. Just build a deck and realize I need 5 cards. Just proxy those. If you want to proxy a whole playset, feel free. It feels like the sort of thing that you want to just keep building decks, and then you realize in a year you technically have all of startup. Trash the Hannah, okay. Revised Core had Flare. It had 1x Aesops with 0 good targets, 1x Cleaners, 1x Project Ares. I think they had no good things. Project Ares was questionable. It's a cool card. It's obviously questionable. Now this is an Euro run with a tag. Two cards in. So this Euro runs dice to the last snare, it dies to Fuji, it dies to Sning. This is a very risky run. You just cannot access 2 cards with 2 cards in hand. Even 1 card with 2 cards in hand is a risk. Yeah, good game. Yep, that's a big thing. You need respect at a minimum snare, at a maximum Fuji, which is 4 damage. Sorry, 3 damage. So it's the same as snare. Thanks for the game. You want to share your list? Do you think there's a sub list that can ignore the first half of the ID and just try to go full tag me? No, because Sisig, that's the most frustrating thing, is all the good sub cards only work if you're not tagged, right? Like as an additional cost to trash a connection resource with base action, the corp must trash 1 card from HQ. You can get that ability. It's called playing dummy box, so you don't need to build around it. By the time that it matters, you can install a dummy box, which is a resource that gives you that text. But the biggest thing is that like all the powerful sub cards, and specifically I'm looking at things like Praxis, specifically say play only if you're not tagged. Obviously it's a balance thing, but I was assuming that the runner we would see would be able to do tag me and tag on, tag off. Unfortunately, all of them are just tag me. Same with like this. Oh no, this one doesn't care. This one doesn't care. It's just like you can't play some of the good cards when you're tagged. Single tag punch is strong too. Yeah, it's really, really good. Fix the game. Hey Zargon, let me know when you're in chat. Score 5-2 for the privilege of taking a bad pub and making the runner trash 1 card. Their choice is probably so bad doesn't qualify as interesting. It qualifies as an interesting spark when you psychic graphics it out and wipe their whole board, which you can do in that core set. Set with a different once self-growth rotates? Yes. I do think once certain cards rotate, you can maybe float a tag and then it gets better, but still, I don't think Seb's... Like, the problem to me is like the good Seb cards that are worth trashing are still worth trashing through Seb's ability, right? Like, would we trash Iru and lose a card from end? 100%. Would we trash Arajoser's crew if it mattered? 100%. And then it still gets tricky. Zargan, good game. I'm back in. As a matchup thing, inherently multi-access into Jinteki is going to be very tricky, specifically personal evolution where every agenda does damage. So you can watch the replay, but in short, you need to have, this is the unfortunate thing about personal evolution, is that you don't want to install all your cards because you're going to need some amount of hit points. Imagine we were playing a deck of only 2-pointer agendas, and of course we're playing things like Snare and Anemone that's going to hurt you no matter what. You just have to watch out because you're on no agenda points, which means if you have to score a minimum 2 pointers, you need to take at least 3 net damage if those cards have no text. And so when you're down to like 3 cards in your stack, 2 in your hand, like it's just hard to close a game out. So you just have to watch out that there's certain cards you have to look at in the matchup and be like, how good is Scrubber really? And the answer is probably it's better as a hit point in the matchup because I'm going to have to steal Fuji, which is going to be 3 damage. I'm going to have to hit a Snare. That's 3 damage. And you just need enough like soak in the matchup. It's a bit more like playing some sort of boss fight, which is frustrating because you want to play your deck, but just watch out a lot of times. You don't want to access with less than 3 cards in hand. Mind you, stealing a Sting does 3 damage too. It's almost impossible to win the game when you only have 5 cards left. Flare was sick. Yeah, Flare's also a shout out to old ONR card. Gotta go, but I'll be back hopefully in an hour. Okay, Zargon, I'll just do this real quick right now and then you can watch it in the VOD after. Alex is happy Trust Op is getting the recognition it deserves. Yeah, Trust Op seems good. Remove tags, Seb is a pain. Seb is very hungry for card draw and gets less ad credits than some. Solution, cut almost all events, run Thunder Art, Valentina, and networking. Run 5x card draw resources and MNO and Solidarity Badge. Okay. So, idea with this deck seems to be, we're playing fixed strength breakers, we're running 31 resources. We have 3 networking, 3 praxis. So from the distance, all I'm going to say is there's a bunch of cards here that... Wait, this is a connection? What? There's a connection? That's goofy. That's really, really goofy. I had no idea that was a connection. So the events in Seb are really good. Like, I know we want to cut the events out. From my testing, the events have still been really good, right? Like having Steel Skin Scarring is just really good, especially that matchup, but it's just a good card. Having Sure Gamble is a good enough card for your openings. You could argue there's a good enough events that you want to consider playing. I think Praxis is great. Networking also it's an economy card. It fundamentally is just an economy card. And so you have to see how the network compares to some of the other economy cards you can play in the slot. And my guess is not super, super favorably. I'd argue that you're clearing tags pretty consistently. That's for sure. But I don't know if you need 3 networking. You always play less of them because the idea is that once you find 1 networking, that's all the networkings you need. So I'd imagine you can try cutting down to 2 networking and going from there. Thunder Art Gallery, it's a bit slow. I think this is the biggest issue though, fundamentally what I think about Seb, that this deck does the opposite, is the problem with Seb is not so much that he needs to install a lot of things, is that you still need to win the game of Netrunner somehow, and that's still very difficult if you're installing all these cards, right? Like it's nice that you can install your cards a bit more you know, you need the card draw to make that work, that's for sure. But it's still hard to translate a pile of 31 resources into a win condition. Because we have one multi-axis card, which is Manuel Laches de Mura. We have one pressure card that's Iru. Mind you, of course, we do have Aquaceres Crew, and you can consider Devil Charm. It's really, really, really good with Aquaceres Crew. But it's hard to translate that into a win condition. I think that's like most of the feedback. I think like running Aquaceres Crew and running the fixed strength breakers is fine. I don't know if God of War is necessary. You can run more of these because inherently, unless you draw through your whole deck and you need a buzzsaw, like you're not going to find it. So that means you can run other stuff too, like botches and other support pieces. But running one of breakers in a deck that just inherently, you have Nuke and Earthrise. It's a bit of card draw, and you have Amanuensis. Yeah, one thing that is going to like color the whole, you know, damn thing is that I don't think Solidarity Badge fires consistently enough, because trashing stuff is not part of our game plan. It's incidental if it does happen. So it's good. As a one of, it's not that hard to build around. But I think in the standard card pool, building around Amanuensis has been just very, very difficult because there's a lot of single tag punishment outside of meat damage, which is the one thing we can deal with that just costs you the game. Now, cool, No Free Lunch is really, really cool. The fact that you can kickflip on their turn. But I honestly think if you enjoy a playstyle like this is so much trickier to play. But you can consider playing a deck like Az, McCaffrey. Mind you, card pool, if you have it, you have it. And then you can do something like DJ Fenris into a Seb. And then this sort of like Thunder Art Gallery, a No Free Lunch playstyle that you seem to enjoy might be a bit more consistent and have a bit more payoffs, honestly, in Criminal when you have Az with Seb. It seems to be where you're building into. But I think this is just like a shell that allows you to play Install Runner, but Install Runner doesn't often win games. So it's probably fun to play because you make a lot of cool decisions on your turn by turn. But I was not, if you watch that matchup, the pressure you put out at any point in time was like super, super minimal. I could kind of ignore what your board state was doing. And you want to try and make that not happen for obvious reasons. Your boss doesn't pay you enough, steal that printer ink. Don't tell me. Oh, print at work. Yeah, print at work. You can print in public spaces like libraries. You can pay a couple cents at the post office and get some printing done. So if you don't have a printer. -1 networking +1 Julie. Yeah, Julie seems like a good inclusion. That's like network adjacent if you want to keep the plan of playing 30 plus resources. It's just hard to make 30 plus resources a game plan. It really is. Yeah. It's neat though. Boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I print network cards on company time. All right, let's do another one. Flare was sick. Flare was cool. The can't be prevented text on Flare is like so silly. I don't know why it's there. I hope we get to see Piranhas res soon. Yeah, me too. At some point. And I can't tell, like, that's the thing. It's like, I can't tell sometimes how much the runner's scared of our ice. And I think in PE, like, I could see why they're scared of our ice. But there's just sometimes a hard thing to tell, like, how potent certain packages are. When, like, people just don't run your remote server in A Teia because, like, there's 2 ice. Gonna die. I really hope they ban self-growth program. NSG seems to make single tag less punishing. I think they will, Gelhar. I think it's, like, one of the big issues with, you know, NBN right now is that the single tag punishment is untenable. And if you get self-growth programmed, it kind of loses you the game, it feels like. But on the other side, right, like you have to keep in mind, monkey paw and all that, is that the less self-growth program, the less Amani it is, the more likely we're going to see like a Lobby Somu and some of the greedier like late game shaper stuff. So I don't think you can take, or you can take away without giving, or, you know, whatever that expression could possibly be. You just have to keep that in mind. Because it is one of the things that is like keeping, you know, paying 8 credits or 10 credits for an Orca in check. Give back Boom, please. Yo, Rongi, it needs to be 3 tags and I'm with you. Oh, this could be a weird matchup. Ian, I'll see you in Boston, huh? In Providence? Hey, thanks, you too. So, Essa, we don't want to get Sabotage. Sabotage is interesting because if you run archives and steal a lot of points, you can lose. That's fun. Do runners find their killers before face checking versus Jinteki still? I think they do. And the problem is not so much the Nanzi Saisentan. I don't have a way to say around that. I've seen a lot of runners run where Saisentan kills them, and I don't have a Saisentan. So I don't know what to, I don't know what to say about it. I'm not that scared of a Nancy. I feel like if a lot of Jinteki decks spend 8 on that Spider, if they're not Ag Infusion, like they're cooked financially. But like the problem is if it's a Saisentan, you can lose the game, and that costs 5 credits, which they can res on turn 1. So I don't know what to do about it. Okay, we want Charlotte to fire. We could do install advance and see what they do with PE. If they don't run it, that's fantastic. And then we can just ice up against Chastushka. I think this is like such an obviously Charlotte play. This could be an Urtica, but like there's no way it's an Urtica. Did really kept, so I'm just going to get some defense here on HQ against Chastushka. Hype to see Essa second fave after Freedom. Yo, I played against some Freedom recently. Lou adjacent. A few Don't Shapers have Entangler. Kit versus Kit. Anarch has face smash stuff. Crim might carry. It's awesome they're going to be at Boston. I'm just picking up my renewed passport today and make the trip. Yo, Alex, you're making it. That's pretty far, huh? That's awesome. Yeah, Pat and I are going to drive down. We were meant to like already book a hotel. We haven't yet because we need to stay there on Saturday night. Choose up to 2 cards. I don't care for a sting. We lost a snare. Feels bad. Why are we not playing Saisentan? Because you don't like playing against it? Yes, but I honestly think Saisentan hits the last. Like, people are more respected in personal evolution, or like it feels like in A Teia it's a maybe. So people respect the face check into the sentries in Jinteki more than anything, in PE more than anything. So at that point, it becomes more of a value proposition. Where like if it's a value proposition, I'd rather have, you know, Anemone or less sentries in general. Phoneutria is good because it has text. I don't think we have to do anything here. We probably just draw hedge fund and the next turn we make a push. They do have 6-7 hand size. That's not good for a blood in the water deck, let me tell you. Hell yeah, an NPC hype. Hell yeah. Do runners find their killers? Oh, that's the answer. Okay. So here we don't exactly have to res. This is where, like, if it's a Saisentan, how bad is it? Honestly, it can be pretty bad for them. I don't think we res, and we hope that they hit. Like, Daniela would be bad. See how they run would be bad. Everything else is fine. Snare. Okay, sick. We had a Scrubber, a Liberated Counts, a Spark of Inspiration. They also just turned on Bring Them Home, which is cool. This is Spark Essa. What are you sparking for? Begamut? What are you sparking for an Essa? Lobisomu? Probably the big Fractor, right? Chistushka getting thrown out. Marrow running hot. Wow. Okay. So they're probably going to labor rates if they're throwing at Chistushka like that. Or they're tilted because they hit a snare floater tag. All right. I'm going to do Rashida Anemone. It's not great, but it's fine. And we'll just click for your credit. Did we see anything weird? No. They threw out a running hot too. They didn't sabotage that turn, but they're going to like probably not go less than 7 hand size for a bit. Until maybe they get a ghost tongue down, but it seems like if they're not installing or playing running hot, that they might actually care about hand size in the matchup, which, like, yeah, rightfully so. This is the sort of thing where, like, the tension between playing your deck and playing against a PE deck is what a lot of people don't love. Oh, it's an E-chip. Sick. That's probably worth the core damage. So we got trash 2. I don't think we need an early Bring Them Home. 2 stings in the bin? Uh-oh. That's not where you want all of them. How much damage is this? 4 damage? Wait, do they die? They could have... Wait, how much damage is this? So unless they have a thing in hand, they die. Or they don't have a steel skin. Oh, they draw. No, they don't die. Never mind. Do we have a Velma's Diner? Janktivus, I wish. They had a steel skin. They're fine no matter what. I really wish. I've been playing some Arkham and it's been really good. I've been really busy on a bunch of fronts. It's just like been all over the place. And now travel has started up for Netrunner. I'm like... I say you? He dead? Nah, he's fine. Zenith. Almost dead. So now when we score out the sting, it does 700 damage. Okay. Take more of our money. I appreciate Janktivus, I really do. So do we want to score see how they run and give another core damage? It actually fires S's ability. So we would actually want to lose the side game to give it net damage. Weird. So I think here we have enough money. We can just do Danielle into Fuji. Mind you, Zenith is only for central servers. So we're going to set this up over a couple turns. We can advance once, I think. And then next turn we can do advance, Bring Them Home, depending on how things go. This looks like a Charlotte. Spark is 3 influence. They're probably on a full playset. Zenith. So we're at 11 influence so far. Just R&D for a single. Draws a card. Why not? Zenith's really hard to play around. It's a good card against this matchup. You just love the click compression, especially when you need the cards the most is right before you're going to access. And it's so easy for us to forget it's there. Which, like, don't. Remember. Janktivus, have you played Hemlock Vale? Still 6 hand size. This is where, like, there's some, you know, Saisentan respect. We also didn't res the HQ ice. So, like, that gives them some information, I guess. Either that we didn't have it in hand, which we did technically have an agenda. Steel skin hitting the price. So that's not option. Is it optional? Throwing out, oh, installing a ghost tongue. So we can get rid of, they're around 5 hand side. They're getting there. I don't think we can afford to play Hansei. The sort of hand pressure we have. We know the top of the R&D is not an agenda. That's the unfortunate thing about accessing is, like, we know. It still might be a good card. But we know that we can safely trash it because they didn't. The long pause before advance feels like not Charlotte. Thanos, I know. I do not do a clean enough job. I should do install advance ice. Earthrise, okay. They still have a tag. We have Mindscaping in the deck, I think. So they didn't steal our trash, so we can't bring them home. So this, mind you, is 5 damage. 2 from hand, 3 from this. Actually, it's a lot of damage. So I think we just do advance credit and hold. They haven't shown a breaker yet. I'm imagining they're on Lamb. They could be Lobby Orca. Mind you, Ghost Tongue, the Spark of Inspiration gets a bit easier to play. Their money hasn't been fantastic yet, but now with the Ghost Tongue, like all their economy cards are amazing. They lost 1 finality, which is also important. Also, Light the Fire. Wait, Light the Fire still has meme art? I thought the meme art got cleared out. Like, Zaya is not meme art. Career Fairy and Liberated? Wait, you have a tag though. You sure about that? We don't gotta do nothing there. We probably could have scored the Fuji out, but I don't think we're in a rush to do it. Yeah, that lib is unfortunate. I played Zaya a couple days ago. They showed the meme art for me. Oh, that's a bummer. The meme art's really confusing. Must have forgotten 100%. The tag's been there for turns. Nightfalls, how's it going? Accessing Glass Click, you want to avoid it. They have padding in hand, but like if they hit a snare, they die to a fictional boom. That's kind of cool. Yeah, they definitely forgot. That tag was like 3-4 turns ago. I've been there. So we score this out. We probably just put an anemone on R&D. Tattoo Bull is also acceptable. Legwork and Earthrise hitting the bin. Okay. Charlotte. Did they access the Charlotte? They access the Charlotte. We'll do damage. Big into small is better, I think. Okay, so we hit the Begamo, we hit the Lamb. We hit 2 breakers there. So we haven't seen any labor rights. So they have 9 cards plus 4. We've seen no recursion cards. They still could have an Ashen somewhere. But that seems unfortunate. I think the Bring Them Home goes out. They're still ignoring it? Yeah, but at this point, they're not going to clear it. Because I just don't think they're going to play resources. 3 libs are in the bin. That's why they're throwing out the Earthrises. I don't think they... I think we just ice up R&D. They really need recursion here. Begamot? Wow. Okay. So Charlotte's our next turn play. So I think we'll just ice up R&D. Seems like a low card count versus P. Yeah, it's not bad. 1 Fuji is going to swing the game for them. Like us scoring a Sting is going to do an absolute nuke of damage. Katurga? Okay. That's going to bring back a breaker, I reckon. This does do the access, so there's no agendas in there. But that's sometimes the downside of, you know, of Ghost Tongue. Like it forces, or Zenith, it forces you to draw. So it looks like they need to install the breaker here. Not that we're going to do damage on our turn. But they have a Lamb in hand. You got to install it, right? Yeah, there you go. So this can paint. It can break 1 ice a turn. Fine. So we have Rashida, but we also have Charlotte. So Anemone is still annoying. It's 4 credits to break. It's not bad. So I think we want to do Charlotte on top of Daniela. Or we do Rashida and then Charlotte out here. I think both are fine. This is more likely the Charlotte will stick. But we still have a lot of work to do. Blood in the Water, we might get there. But we also haven't drawn a single Spin Doctor, which is like something we definitely want to be able to hold on to. Here we're likely to get Chestushka, which at least this keeps them busy, but they can just definitely Chestushka behind a... Sorry, that's the wrong paid ability. Through a single ice. So we probably need to put a second ice on HQ, let's be honest. They'll still get through, but they might like slow them down. Because we've only seen 1 Chestushka and the Lamb means they can Chestushka. Have not played HV yet. Hillary and I are sort of trying to go in order. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. Waiting for the new Dream Eaters repackaged set. It just came out last Friday, I think. So we're going to do the Tattoo Bola. They'll probably break it for 2, which means we can flip the Anemone, get 4. Then it'll be a 1 and 3 for Snare, 1 and 3 for the Agenda. If they steal the Agenda, we're in a bad spot. Oh. So now they're just douche-getting. Maybe we shouldn't have res so they hit the Snare. Yeah, we probably misplayed that. Oh, never mind. What do we do here? We did go way out of order with Edge of the Earth, which we really dug. Want to play through that again soon. Edge of the Earth is great. A lot of people don't like Edge of the Earth. Are they doing a return to the Dream Eaters? No, they're stopping all the returns to Coke. They have no plans to do return to. I'm honestly a bit scared of Asmodee, considering they were saddled with like $900 million or euros of debt. Like I honestly don't know how long Asmodee is going to be around for, or FFG is going to be around for. I'm kind of worried. Don't look into it a bit more, but like things are kind of rough out there. So we raise the anemone. They can break it for 4. 4 seems like a lot. We have to discard a card from hand, though. And I like our cards. If anything, we get rid of the anemone, which means we lose more damage. Huh. We'll top deck a Spin Doctor, right? This is such a risky play. I think we get rid of this snare. I don't think they're going to run HQ for a bit. They're going to Chistushka the next run. We hit Spark of Inspiration and Chistushka. Okay, so we did think there was a Chistushka in there. That's good. Break for 4. Now we have to res Daniela. I haven't heard anything about a return to. Yeah, they stopped doing the return twos, which are admittedly are like really not hot products. Like the pool of people that want to purchase return twos are like hardcore players that already have everything. And the thing right now is they need to get more people into the game. So financially returns to just don't make a lot of sense. I understand that. They confirm, yeah, no more return twos for now. As in, they didn't say we'll never do them, but we have no, like, they're not in the calendar. Which, like, yeah, obviously that's a bummer. Draw credit. We install ice. Credit. We'd rather have a hand size. That's bad. Does anyone know why the expose mechanic has stopped being used? It comes up so much in early FFG cards. I couldn't tell you why NSG doesn't do expose. FFG still did expose all the way to the last sets. There's expose in Katara. I think expose is not... Oh, there's still a tag there, though. I think expose is not particularly interesting. The cool thing about Netrunner is the face down cards are unknown and information is valuable. So if we don't trash the daily cast, we can Hansei. I think it's more important we Hansei. So if you ask me, I think expose being a bit more curated is interesting. Return to TFA is one of the best. The return twos are amazing. Like the returns are really good. I just understand why they're not for everyone. Or sorry, like with the not top selling products. I picked up some Return to Forgotten Age. Really look forward to running that. Yes. Return to Forgotten Age is one of the best Return to. And not because it needs it. Some of the rule changes are very, very elegant, but more so because it is just very good. It's just better. Already pretty good, but got better. Mr. Riley, level 2, let's go. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, there's cards in those too that are worth something. So what would we want them to hit here? What could he hit? Trash the Spin Doctor. It's the first Spin Doctor. That's not good. I suppose every expose is one less potential run. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You have to watch out too, like Amakua is technically a card that expose has its value attached to. Once there's no Amakua, maybe later this year or whenever Dawn comes out, like you can maybe print some more exposed cards. Wow, we have bad agendas in here, huh? Deuces did nothing wrong. Yeah, Deuces was the most played exposed card for a while. That's true. So there's a chance they don't run double barrier. So we could Trace see how they run on top of Daniela and assume that we can score blood in the water, and then we'd be on game point. So we could draw once. Okay, that's technically a bit better, but they'll put them on game point equally, which we don't want. So I think we do. I think we still do it, though. Four 9 being legal kind of keeps expose around until he rotates. Yes. Yeah. But I think Amaku is the most important exposed card right now. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this run's pretty good. It's very likely not to be good for us. I think we've seen very few agendas that this run makes a lot of sense. You have no ice. Thank you, Tatubola. Okay. We'll take that. How could you forget about Zamba? I never forgot about Zamba. Runky, you don't think I have my extra copies of Zamba on the nightstand? Every night before I go to bed, I look at Zamba and think, hey, bud. Okay, so they should run this. They actually can't. They have to let the Anemone fire. They just don't have enough money. This is 2 to break. This is 4 to break. So that means they're going to end up taking 5 damage, which is like fine because this is their last 6 cards. I don't think they have recursion. GPI Netep Zamba. Yeah, Zamba technically is like a very relevant card. Are they just tanking this? Mind you, Daniela doesn't eat the cards. Fire all. Oh, they're like, I wouldn't say tilting, but they're definitely going for it here. House of Knives, so they're on game point, so any HQ run just loses. That's going to be a problem. They lose a price, so they have no recursion, but we're still like, we really need a Spin Doctor to manage our hand. They have no money, Daniela stays. The thing about Daniela is she's an additional cost. So if they don't have cards, like Daniela is bulletproof. Like eventually if they run out of cards, Daniela's great. 3 points is game point in this deck. Oh my god. Never mind. We're good. I thought that math is hard. Spin Doctor, please. Anemone. Okay. Anemone's also kind of nice. I think we have to do Anemone, see how they run advance. No, we can't play Anemone with this hand. Yeah, we can. Draw. It would be cool if we res the Piranhas like one time, you know? Jam blood. I actually want to do the blood from hand. You might be right. Maybe we can jam blood, but the thing is if they jam blood and they call it, then we don't have the blood, and we want the blood when they call the remote server. Like, that's the beauty of blood, is when they call. I don't know when they're going to call. I feel like a Jinteki PE grinder doing this. This feels terrible. Sorry, friend. Oops, 2 cards left. Die to snare. They have no money. Okay, they have 2 cards left. So Daniela will never get trashed. And now we can do blood from hand. And then they'll have 1 card left. Oh crap, blood from hand for 1 card is sick. Wait a second. Oh, we found it. I'm gonna marrow the Piranhas. I'm really sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's probably pretty good until I am. That daily cast lasted the whole time. I forgot we could have trashed it. I guess we both... Oh, no, they cleared the tag. He did, excuse me. All right, this is the last run they can make on HQ. They can still win here. Tattoo Bola feels terrible. But now they can't run then. Did MU code thing do expose? Which one? Oh, Moo? No, Moo didn't do. Moo Codecracker didn't do expose. You're thinking of a Lemuria Codecracker, which did do expose from the original core set. 9 influence for no fish? Yeah, but we can beat Tempo PE. They're down to 1 card in hand, which means they cannot score the see how they run. So we can just advance credit and just hold snare money. They will die to the see how they run damage. I wish they print more cards that did reveals of cards in R&D and HQ. Stuff like Chrysopi and Skimming, but good. Yeah. Like, imagine we'll see something that's like Celebrity Gift adjacent eventually. So they literally cannot win. Oh, no, they can win the game. They have to find agenda into agenda. They have to find 2-pointer into 2-pointer or 2-pointer into 3-pointer. Because the PE doesn't fire if you win the game. So as soon as they take 1 errant net damage, the game's over. The play thing to here just concede. No, they have a chance. They have a chance. He could win. He could run not HQ anymore, but cool enough to see how they run's going to die. Get the flatline. So P for the damage, and then we'll play the most important side game. Skimming won me a game today. Let's go. GG. Hey, thanks. Thanks, you too. Sorry for a bit of a grind. Yeah, we didn't want to grind there, but it did grind. It did grind. Throw out another Piranhas. Yeah, we didn't think they would deck out there. We thought they would just play on 7 hand sides and go from there. I thought you hated PE. Not my favorite. It's not my favorite. But we do have a proactive game plan. So I don't feel too bad about it. Hey, cheers. You too. I know I play on my account, so people maybe know who I am. I ran into a lot of people that maybe didn't know who I was. They were like, oh, what's the channel for when I ask, can I record? And let me tell you, the people I meet on JNet have been really, really nice. Maybe that's different for y'all, but genuinely, like, the people, even if the games don't go their way, I would say 9 out of 10 times, JNet, the nice people I've met have been fantastic. So shout out to people getting PE'd. Or it's fun to simultaneously win on points and flatline. Technically, you win on points. You don't actually flatline. The game is over when you get 7 points immediately. That does not count as a flatline stat. But no, I hear you, Gentlink. Hey. Quetzal. Okay, we have 2 barriers. It probably is going to be Quetzal with other support. But only 2. Okay, we are piranhasing on turn 1. Nothing can stop us. We're going to do Hedge Fund Piranhas Rashida. And that's it. Okay, it's going to get rezzed. It's going to be sick. We're going to have 2 cards in hand, though, so it's not even going to end the run. It's going to be terrible. Haven't really caught any of the stream today. Oh, hey, no worries. Hey, no worries. We're trying some tag adjacent Jinteki. You don't need to reveal what we're doing. That might scare them more than the amount of tags matter. But I don't know. They can stream snip if they want, so I might as well give them some information. Hey, Chrissy. As a League of Legends player, the difference between experienced opponents is wild. Jaina, people are so nice. Well, yeah, it's League of Legends. Like, imagine putting 10 people in a room depending on each other and on a 25-minute game where one mistake like throws it. Like, I don't want to excuse League of Legends toxicity, but like so much of that game structure, gotta blame the jungler. I played jungle when I played League of Legends. Like, I know how it is. Oh, cheers. Hey, thanks, you too. What's the first corp ID in your head if you want to build a rig shooting archetype in this meta, Andre? Op, probably. I would go straight to Wayland, and then I would either do Op or Outfit, just because they both have access to some really good ice, like arguably Archer, but more likely Stavka and Trebuchet based on the ID you're playing. And then Op has a lot of ways to cheat that ice to be strong, like Afrun, Zato City Grid, and Outfit can just go fast and also can play like corporate troubleshooter. That's what I would do. You definitely need a way to deal with like Simulchip Muse against Shaper. So you have a bit of a matchup spread that's not exactly elegant. I'm doing it. I don't care. I'm doing it. I know we don't have cards in hand, but maybe they expend cards in hand. Shit. Sorry. Hey, I've been reached out by a company that does merch stuff for content creators, and they've been reaching out for years, and they actually seem legit. And they're like, "Hey, Metropole Grid, do you want to have a merch market?" And the problem is, like, I don't have any art that's associated with the channel. Is this something that's going to be interesting? Because like I know how big the Metropole Grid is. Shit. I mean, I meant to put the ice on our HQ. Do you mind if I move it? Just send it. Oh, Beans mug, yeah. Blame jungler. We're PE. I don't care. Only sort of matter. The myth relation of Mew and Lemuria lost continents is why I thought it was. Yeah. It's a cool idea that they kept that sort of that theme across the code crackers, which is really cute. Okay, no spin doctor, that's fine. So Quetzal seems to want to hurt us. So we can do Phoneutria on HQ. I honestly think a Phoneutria on Archives is like enough, and then we'll just jam Rashida. Mind you, we're gonna res a Piranhas in the matchup. The logo on a shirt is a cool starting merch option, if nothing else. Yeah, I have a couple of those that I made in Toronto. They're quite nice. I use nice t-shirts and I wear them. They're bright red though, so it's like not for everyone. I'm wearing right now khakis, like slacks, and then I wear the red shirt and it looks like I'm an employee at a Best Buy or like a nice grocery store or something. It's kind of a look, but I don't know. I think the merch I want to do is like a nice shirt that just has /undo click as like the branding, because I'm kind of into it. Much bugger stickers, I just send it over to Jane Run Arrow. Just send it. Okay. All right. Hey, actually, we have 3 barriers. I forgot about that. We also need MG stickers that say all beans. Yeah, I think so. Target? Thanos? I would buy the merch. Janish, how's it going? If it was halfway decent available in Europe with wild shipping costs and custom costs, yeah, I have no idea what the costs look like. It's like a lot of work to get it to set up to the way that I'd be happy about it. So yeah, it's hard to tell if it's worth doing. It probably is. So they have a Buzzsaw, no economy. What is he going to do? We're going to try and score a Sting out. I think we need a Hansei this hand. Tattoo Bola is like, okay. Data Loop only has one like subroutine that actually matters, but we don't res this because it's subroutine. So I think I'm just going to get Tattoo Bola and get rid of it and just say I have 19 credits. Yo, Winnegun, are you going to NPC Boston? Yes, I should be. Pat and I are driving down. We still need to find a place to stay on Saturday night. We're probably going to be at Neon Static on Friday night. Eric was kind enough to let us have a place to hang out. So we might have a Neon Static stream on the Friday night before with like a bunch of people. I'm not going to say too much because it's mostly Eric that has to do all that legwork and figure out what we want to do. But it looks like we're going to go to New Hampshire to drop by Eric's place for a bit, which is a nice treat. And then we'll come down on Saturday and Sunday. I'm stoked for it. I really am. Second, the undo click. I like the undo click a lot. I probably just proxy your merch. You're totally allowed to proxy merch. Whoa, what's going on? What happened? Spec work for the Buzzsaw to get an imp? And no run. Okay. Well, the Sting seems safe. We just need Ice Up HQ. Whoa, what is this deck? Do we just purge? I think we just purge. I just don't want to get imped. Oh, R&D, sorry. We'd Ice Up R&D. We could probably Ice Up R&D a bit and then just do advance, and see how that goes. Clayton, get to see you live? Yeah, I get to see you live. It's going to be sick. I don't know if I'm playing. I'm assuming I'm playing. I think there's something maybe with a stream, but I don't think they can do commentary. I'll ask around for that. But I haven't gone to an event and played. What you looking for? In some cases. Yeah. Metropole Grid alt card arts that everyone can print printed themselves. Yeah, that's a thing. There's technically like an image of me that should show up on an alt art. I think unfortunately Daily Cast was the best target for that, and that like was going to rotate at some point in the near future. I think there's some interest to have like art that is specifically like, hey, thanks Patreon backers. Oh, I gotta still send one. I owe a card. I need to put one in the mail. Excuse me. Yeah, it's nice that they're available, I guess. Keiko, Physarum, and Tangler. So we've seen a wild inclusion and influence so far. Specwork, Physarum, 2 Physarums, mind you. So that's the way to deal with the non-barriers. I think Quetzal's gonna do all the barriers. And I'm feeling okay about that. Keiko's the console, doesn't give us that much of a read. Don't see Keiko that often. I think we're gonna go for the see how they run Daniela play. Just push out in a turn. I think Fuji would probably be the play that like closes the game faster, but like we want to see what Shitter does. Commentary's remote. Oh, okay. Well, I'll go remote. No, I'm kidding. I'll go play. Phoneutria on a Trojan. That's not too bad. Okay, that's not good. Do we purge? No, we probably try and win the game. So we'll draw once. Be cool, be cool, be cool. We'll just score out. That's fine. We need an inside job alter starring Pat putting a scoop under your desk. Yeah, like Dockland's Pass probably, right? The HQ interface. All card arts that everyone can print have printed themselves. I think I read that. I did. It's got to be some kind of merch that shows Patrick hiding a spoiler. Oh, yeah, right. Chistushka. That's what's happening. It's okay. We have all our agendas in hand. How bad could this possibly be? It's a Phoneutria, so they're still going to take a tag, which is something. Again, if this is a Nancy, we'd still do some damage here. Tattoo Bolo would be kind of sick. As much as Quetzal likes that, we'd at least eat the Botulus and then swap it. So it's up to them to figure out how to do this. You could take 2 damage here to not have the tag, but like, I imagine the cards in hand are kind of nice. Padman and Rob on. Under doing remote commentary on a laptop and some card in the video. I'll just be in the bathroom. I'll do like the inside job. Okay, Chastity, get rid of the data loop and rip 3. No Spin Doctor. Where? Oh, 1 Spin Doctor. Never mind. Things were golden. That's still a lot of damage in archives. Paladin, 1 credit. Okay. Are we going to trash Paladin Puemo with see how they run? Laptop mic and still just go to work. Thank you, Axu. Are you doing commentary? Remote? All right, let's do the PE damage first. Okay, so now we want to spend a number. So we can guarantee core damage if we pay 2. Now, you might be looking and saying 2 credits, that's a lot of money for your board state, and you're not incorrect. That is a lot of money, but it is a guaranteed core damage. Bloop. We should have paid 1. There's no way they were going to pay 1 there. Rejig? Okay. So HQ is like slightly only a problem. We need to res Phoneutria Anemone. We could push the blood. Well, credits guaranteed core. Yeah, you're right. They don't pay 1. We kind of overpaid there. Imagine if they did though. It'd be sick. It'd be really cool. Do we trash Paladin when their economy looks like this? I think we trash Paladin next turn maybe. I'm busy on the second day and it's going pretty late. Okay. Kill Paladin. I'm playing Gloomhaven Digital and having such a good time, and I unlocked a Paladin and I named her Puemo, and she's kicking so much ass. But I don't think we can afford to go down to 4 credits. That being said, if we click for a credit here, like what are we doing? We probably just put the Sting here. Because once we score the Sting, we're technically on game point. If we advance the Sting next turn, there's also a chance we can do Sting into Blood in the Water. No, they'd have to pretty mismanage their cards in hand for that to be good. Short idea, 2 grids and 1 ice, Thanos. Okay, Snare. So they cleared the tag, so that's fine. Maybe the economy bump of them clearing the tag was worse than the Paladin. So we can do advance once, credit. We're going to res Piranhas on this one, don't you worry. I'm doing this Summer Showdown stream this weekend, so it might be pretty overloaded. Yeah, actually, what's Summer Showdown? Ooh, Augustina. Fermenter. I don't care. 3 cards in hand. Wait a second. Oh, we got to advance it 1 more time. This does 2 damage. Puts him on 1 card. So he advances once more. Well, it doesn't win the game. Probably still worth. Their non-steals can go down to 1 card. Okay. So Blood in the Water is a bit too... Oh, Man in the Moons. Okay. I don't know too much about that one. We probably want a Mindscaping here because it sets up an Augustina. We should have done this sooner in the turn. But this sets up an Augustina. Like, we can just discard whatever here. So we have Daniela. We have a sting in hand. We want them to steal the last sting. So I think we actually discard this sting. Because if they run archive, they probably flatline. I wonder if they're just never going to run, though. Maybe that's why we should have the sting. But the last sting is just like Chekhov's gun. I don't know how theater works. Okay. This could lose us the game. Sting is when a player scores or steals. So they hit 7 points, they hit 7 points. They're not going to take a tag here. So please hit the snare. See how they run? Okay, you can hit that, I guess. That's a reader. Just going to be on net damage. Oh, you can imp it if you want. I guess that's a decision. Fuji just kills them? No, they imp it. Yeah, they have an imp. You can imp agendas that don't have on axis, that have on steal. Well, you can imp any agenda, but if it was like on axis do damage, then yeah, it would fire. But it's on steal, so it's your choice. BK, how's it going? Yeah, they imped it. Okay. Spec work, get rid of that. Imp. Okay, so we need a top deck of Spin Doctor. There's a lot of points in the bin. That's not it. Okay, they have 3 cards in hand. So we can do install advance Fuji. Honestly, it's like probably right, as dicey as things are getting. Like, just say it, whatever. Put Danielle in archives. You know, that's a pretty good play. It's a pretty good play. That being said, Fuji on Danielle seems good. We could lose an archive. How many points are in here? 1, 2, 3. No, we're fine. You have to run this so the game's over. Yeah. Okay. So you can just IA Fuji. Exactly. So if we res nothing. So how many money do we need to win? We need 3 money. So thinking we can res Anemone that gets cards out of their hand. So then they can't steal the Fuji. The other options we res Daniela. If we res Daniela, they can still imp the Fuji. So no matter what, it's getting imped. Yeah, this is the problem, is they trash the fermenter, so imp is actually the threat here. So if we res the Anemone, we can throw out the snare probably. Are they just dead to Blood in the Water? No, because they'll imp the agenda. Res Piranhas, we're credit short. Oh, it's 5. Actually, never mind. We're not credit short. Do we res the Piranhas? I think we do. I thought it was 6. You want to res the Danielle anyway? No, because if they trash the agenda, it doesn't do anything. Like, the question is, do we res the Danielle or do we res the Piranhas? Was the program trash? Yeah, and they popped their fermenter 2 clicks ago. A 3 net damage from an enemy? Yeah, it might be. But they're still just going to put an imp. I think the best line is Anemone and Daniela, because then they can't trash the Daniela. They're going to imp the agenda, and then we have to draw a Spin Doctor. I'm going to do it. I'm getting rid of Daniela. Devil Charm, okay. Yeah, I think we'll res it so they don't just free trash it, but they might actually be spooked on this run. Now, if they don't pull an imp here, then we're fine. But it looks like they're actually pulling out a breaker. Oh. Okay, we're fine now. They should not have installed the Physarum. 9 influence on never res dice slow. What are you talking about? That doesn't work that way? It does. It does. You just have to do it on approach. You probably hit go to movement. You're fine. Yeah, you can do it. Sorry? So that's a big thing with Physarum, is that Physarum fires when you encounter that piece of ice, which means you have to install the Physarum on approach. So as long as you don't mash continue to movement, because as soon as I res, then you hit it, like you can still Physarum it. They think approach is before res. I need to install Physarum prior to you resing an enemy. No. During approach, you have priority. You can do nothing. And pass to me. Still on approach. I can res the ice. And because I use the paid ability window, I have to pass it back to you. So still on approach, you can now install the Physarum. You're totally fine. If you mash continue to movement, you will get caught out of place. I have a 45-minute video talking about this, and I still don't get it perfectly. But you can definitely do it. It's not about winning, it's about rezzing Piranhas on stream. I know, Chicheling, we can't do it. We have more money. I thought I did that. I went to sprint counter. Yes, you probably hit go to movement. Most people spam it, myself included. If you pay 1, I won't fire the sub. Yeah, totally. Just pay 1, and I'll like. Cool, you're good. And they jacked out. Okay. Oh wait, we don't have enough money to win. Oh wait, never mind. We're credit short. That's fine. I think we just do install Event Charlotte, install Spin Doctor. Rip outplayed. Yeah, technically they outplayed us. I was a credit short. The other options install Blood and Water, which puts them to 0 cards in hand. It's not that good because we don't win, so I think we just get our money up and get the Spin Doctor so we don't lose. This is also fine. Score Blood in the Water, Ian, you know I can't. You know I can't. It doesn't win. It's so much work. Charlotte get the money for fish, yeah, 100%. Yeah, now it kind of looks like an NGO friend, right? Yeah, they thought it was double blood. They have to install with Paladin, which shouldn't be that hard on 9 credits, but that means they get cards out of hand. We love cards out of hand. Cards shouldn't be in hand. Or YOLO. All right, let's game. Oh, Piranha shows up just in time. Love it. Turn 12, not too bad. Good game. Yeah, was just 1 credit short. I had the Blood in the Water in hand. But I was on 2 credits. I needed 3. The Anemone res. Talk to me. Cards accessed 1? Yeah, but they did do 2 Chastushkas. So the amount of cards access is not good for them, obviously, but they did put off more pressure than that number indicates. Cards belong in the trash, yeah. Yeah, I was just 1 short. Yeah, they force some pressure out, right? Like, that's the idea. Quetzal's ability only sort of, like, that's a hard thing with Quetzal. Like, sometimes their ability doesn't seem like it matters, but that's because we just threw out the barriers. So, like, it kind of mattered, but it's not like the barriers are particularly taxing in this deck. He thinks he too. Cool deck. Sleepy Fish doesn't come out. Oh, man, we've been streaming for 3 hours. It's like 3:30. We can do like another hour, but we're gonna res Piranhas sooner than later. It's just a matter of time. I am starting to get really warm. I think the heating might be on in this room, which seems like such an obvious mistake in hindsight. All right, Claytonus just watched the last game. Maybe they know what we're on to. They didn't see the Piranhas though, because we didn't res them. So we're gonna get them. We're gonna get them good. We put Piranhas on table turn 1. It's like, not we didn't prioritize it. The heating was off. So this is the life we live. Gotta stop watching Clayton. There you go. Good luck, have fun, eh? 419. Oh, that's not gonna be good for us. The one thing that we don't have is a robust economy. So 419 is probably gonna take us apart a bit. We need to put something on HQ that's gonna be annoying enough. 1 economic warfare means we're 1 data loop res away from, or not economic warfare, emergency shutdown before everything is over. It's also really difficult with, like, we're gonna get the screws put to us on this probably. So you have to Hansei this turn. We'll probably Hansei is Sting, and then we'll keep from there. Thanks, you too. I wonder if this is the deck list we posted. You're probably never raising the data loop, just pitch it to Hansei. I don't know. Like, we don't have that much ice. Like, maybe we want a Piranhas on HQ. But this is the sort of deck that's probably on Amakua. So, like, a 4 strength barrier is not unreasonable. Let's see what we mandatory draw into. I think we might just throw out the Sting. Back with the Hey, Zargon. Glad you caught it. Welcome back. Don't raise a Piranha, you don't want to put it on the remote. Runner don't run remote in 2024. Our runners have ran the remote servers. They have been doing it slightly more than never. Now, it was close to never, but we did see runs on the remote server. So we need to ice up everything because Amakua. So I'm going to prioritize having all the ice. So we have Spin Doctor, but I think we're just going to get rid of that. We're going to put this on R&D. We're going to show it because I don't care that you know it's an anemone. And then we're going to put the data loop on HQ. This is 419. Ice on HQ. Okay. Now, admittedly with the Sting, it's a problem if there's a Hermes, but I don't see Hermes turn 1 run archives. That seems pretty wild. JP is definitely difficult, hard to play against for sure. The As thing is cool. Look into it. Yeah, there's a deck. Zargon, search on NRNDB. Yeah, never mind. Search on NRNDB. You could die to Fuji here. For Seb K posted a deck. I don't know if it's the perfect iteration because it was really early into the meta, but it seems to be the thing that you want to do. They lost a Nuka and a mining accident. Glad that we played around mining accident. All right. So now we have to pay to prevent Amakua, but Amakua prevention is only as good as icing up archives. So it seems kind of silly. We probably should do it. We just ice up archives and then we hedge fund. And then we're basically saying you have to produce real breakers. I run remotes. That's where the bot lists go. Yeah, I agree. Or you put them on HQ. One thing the deck does pretty good is facing off against acid spam. You can play Miss Bones and acid spam if you want to. But yeah, inherently with like Scrubber and Hannah, you're okay into acid spam. You're also good into like incidental tags. Like AR enhanced security is not the end of the world, which is kind of cute. But I don't think you're good at like 2 ice remote server. We drew enough ice quickly, which means Claytronus has to find breakers. This is our remote ice. Seems okay. Draw. This actually is probably the jackpot deck. This looks more like it's the deck Seb K also posted. That's going to be a liability. If that's the case, that this deck is actually not on Hermes, it's on Penny Shaver. I think we will ice up the Spin Doctor. Like in theory, we can make a new server. But if we make a new server, we have to res the ice. We still have to do on the Spin Doctor. Yeah, it's fine. At least they have to run the Spin Doctor on this. Okay, so a thing that you need to do against 419 is a big thing. I wish I put in the 419 video. Is one of the worst things you can do is credit, install a card, pay 1. You're much better off clicking for 3 credits, unless that install really matters, and then next turn doing credit, install. Because if you're paying once per turn against 419, and you do that 2 turns in a row, you basically wasted a click. So you should do better at making it make more sense. You should do it in the other order. You should install 2 things a turn every other turn, as opposed to 1 thing a turn, which is the worst thing you can do 419. So that turn was probably not very good. We're probably better clicking for a credit and then building on the following turn. Okay, unfortunately, we have to res the data loop, so we're now gutted on economy. Another reason why we could have been 2 credits up here because we installed the piranhas like chumps. Data loop has relevant text. And so in theory here, a snare will be pretty well positioned, as much as they'll have more money than we will. Fish is going to happen. I doubt it somehow. I need this deck list, Blood in the River. Yeah, Levi, if you scroll back on YouTube, you can find it. I don't have it posted, but I will definitely at the end of the stream. It's been okay so far. Snare. Let's go. Hit a breaker, hit a diversion, hit a boomerang, hit a bravado. Fine. We're on 1 credit though. Another reason if we were on 3 credits here, we could do credit hedge fund. This was such a misplay. We should have just clicked for credits. Because now they have a window to maybe like force some reses. They might not want to face check with Amaku at 0. But yeah, we definitely shouldn't have installed the piranhas. We could have had another card in hand. Short idea 6 alongside size SML. The tag says click plus 2 credits to remove. Wait, sorry, Thanos? Short idea is 6. I might have missed some. My partner is doing graphic design school. She went back to continuing education. I think she's really hyped to do some like design stuff. I don't mind about this axis. Like a diversion here is kind of ugly. But like pre-installing the boomerang gives us a whole turn to put another ice in front of there. We don't have the ice. So now like if we want to play around diversion, we really have to work. We have to do like credit, hedge fund, credit, and just say like if you diversion me, it costs you 2 cards from hand. Mind you, data loop is not end the run. Do you notice how weird the indentation is on that top text? They messed it up. Unfortunate red sand stuff. Yeah, it doesn't end the run if you don't have cards. It's all right. Diversion drops us to half. Fine. Oh, the tag on the shirt. Draw for Blood in the Water? Did they have no cards in hand? Oh, you're right. We could have drawn for Blood in the Water. I totally did not think that. Yeah, you're right. We should have drawn 1. So this cost them a boomerang, 3 credits, 2 clicks, and then they get 5 credits back. It slows us down, but like admittedly diversion of funds doesn't feel that great. They also drew into this? Oh, Earthrise. Okay. Like this feels bad for everyone. Worse for us, arguably, but not that much worse. Like they spend 3 clicks and 3 credits on it. Don't install 1 card a turn, Andre. Don't. You'll install Piranhas here. You'll put Sting in server 2. Draw for Blood? No. Were they have no cards in hand? Maybe we should. Well, check the top deck. It's 3 and 34. Those are not good odds. Yeah, that would have been so much worse. We'll do this on HQ. We'll pay 1. So we're overextending a bit, but I don't think we really care what happens to the Sting here. We just can't res everything, and they need to like make forward momentum. It might have been better here to draw a bit to discard our hand because our hand is a bit cooked, but not doing it for the fans. What is this, the Bahram Wu stream? Losing to 419 feels miserable, and my like don't lose feels bad vibes. Don't be Blood in the Water combo vibes. They will eventually. Like a Blood in the Water will be relevant, so it's not like it's not happening. Will there be a Doof replacement in Dawn, you think? I don't know in Dawn. I think Doof is the sort of card where like it's good that it might rotate, if you know what I mean. Oh, that helps us deal with our hand. Like I think it's good that power cards like that can change from year to year. The problem with Dawn cards is they won't rotate. So you might see more fundamental cards and not the flashier like payoff cards, like why to play faction cards. Get out of our hand. Mining accident casts. All right. So we can get mined here. It'd be the last mining accident. We're now getting weaker to Amakua. Dawn cards won't rotate. No, I don't think so. I think Dawn's going to be new system update, so it won't rotate ever. It'll be like the cornerstone of startup if that continues to be a format, which it probably will. Doesn't half my fans because they're both nice people. Mercury walking 2 wolves. I kind of want the emoji one, which at this point is too deep of a cut, maybe, of like, what is it? Like eye emoji, wolf emoji, boomerang emoji, cat emoji. Maybe we'll just get melee support, like a charge card and crim instead of the doof archetype. Yes, but that also sounds kind of miserable, doesn't it? Okay, so this Sting is not going anywhere. This Sting is how we're going to win the game. So I'm just going to click for 3 credits because we just have to make sure Amakua can't get more than 1 counter. And then once Claytronis goes down to that like draw for Blood in the Water, then we'll like flatline. The Sting does 3 damage. Other half still wait for the Jaichinyo stream. I'd be surprised to see charge cards in Criminal, but like we saw so much Criminal power counter stuff in the last set. Like maybe Criminal just needs like a cool connection that charges. I think that'd be pretty thematic or flavorful. Oh, we're just tanking the Anemone. Love it. Love it. Hit a snare. Bing. Hit a Kurapira. Not the most important, but those generally don't come back. That's probably a 1 in 4. So the awkward thing about biobands is you have to draw first. So if you draw a card and don't install it, and admittedly Claytronis can install anything in the deck, is like it could get hit by more damage. Like if you drew your killer. Trash Daniela. Play mining accident. Our rule thinking, it's the last click. So if we pay 5, we just pay 5. No problem. That was the thinking call. Okay, so we just click 3 credits. Cool. They trashed there. You probably didn't want to trash there for what it's worth. I know Danielle's annoying, but Amakua being a 2 means you don't take another damage there. It's all you. Because you definitely need to get Amakua to strength, so you're not just taking damage into this thing. So sometimes not trashing even when you want to is canonically correct, because Turtle needs family support. Oops. 419. Yeah, you notice like a lot of games where I'm barely enough economy, and so like 419 is the matchup where it really stresses out barely enough economy. So unfortunately, you have turns like that. Luckily, we can ice up one of the servers, res one of the servers that matters. I don't know if there's respect to the 2 strength Saisentan. Image of digital Hashiko champion waifu. I'm not waifu build too much. I don't think I like that word unless it's super ironic. I'm stoked to see what NSG does for more merch stuff. Oh, another Anemone Fire. So unfortunately, they hit a snare. We can't like score the Sting for lethal because we just don't have enough points. Or sorry, credits. This has to be the jackpot deck. Okay, no trash. So now Anemone is not that strong. So we're probably going to have to like get a couple more credits and then purge. And just say like, if you want to run through Anemone, it's a card a turn, which is not a great trade. It's not the worst trade though. Still have a healthy 26 hit points. Not grinder, not grinder. Flip switch, that's good. That means they can start face checking into like eventually a Saisentan. So our Phoneutria is just 4 credits for a jack out, which is like a bad trade for us. Do we give them a bad publicity? No, this ends the run. We have to give them a bad publicity. I guess we're giving them a bad publicity. Thinking. This is last click though. Yeah, we'll give them a bad publicity. We have to res this. This is probably not right, but we're going to do it. What? It just lets us res this? Oh, it didn't say anything because it didn't have a choice. So they flip swatched out. Fish is officially online. I cannot afford another piranhas into this. We have to get our money up to res the Phoneutria, then we have to purge. BTH sounds kind of fun. We can't res another fish. Don't turtles eat fishes? Some of them? Not all of them. Some turtles just eat cabbage and carrots, the sort of stuff that grows underwater and not in Pat's backyard. Assassin's Creed. Criminal throwing 3J in you. Ubisoft will come for me. Earthrise Hotel, just 2 credits. Now running R&D is entirely free. Piranhas at 6 strength is the best we could ask for against an Amakua, besides anti-AI technology. So Amaku counters Bladderworth? Nodding emoji? Actually, what does that mean? Nice. Admittedly, they're probably not going to have a lot of money to use the Baya bands. They can only sell 2 cost cards. Maybe they have one in hand that's a target. But I don't feel too bad about this. They trade a card for, like, forward value. Like, it's click compression, but this is the sort of matchup where you don't need click compression unless it's, like, a very pivotal turn. It's more so you just need cards. Wake, okay, that's fine. We have piranhas into a data loop. That's going to hold for a bit. See how they run? Uh-oh. So now we can bring them home if we want to. It's a bit expensive. They have 4 cards in hand. Do we score a sting to knock him down to 1 card? Imagine emoji face nodding. Do we knock him down? We need to ice up R&D a bit better, but we honestly have no more ice in the deck that does, besides Phoneutria, which is like fine. I think we just hope that they biff it into a snare. Hear me out. Low strength ice. Bladderworth's a plant. Actually was continuing off your turtles eat underwater plants. I realized for when an ID looks like he's petting something, need to Photoshop the turtle in there. Yeah, he's interacting with his like orb. His data orb. If we just say emoji face doing something, will Andre just copy it? I'm here for that. Please. I have free will. Okay, so Sting just does 3 damage. It drops us to 3 credits. We're in no rush to do that. As soon as we install the Danielle on top of that, though, it gets a bit more interesting. So I think we will do it. We'll probably hit a breaker at this point. Order doesn't matter. There. Huge. We hit an Echelon and a Unity. Not just a breaker, but all the breakers. So the deck now entirely is on Amakua. So all we have to do is purge out at some point that it seems important. We have hit every single breaker in the deck. It's a companion orb. This is his data orb. His criminal data orb. PE grinder? What are you talking about? We put it on the table. It was tempo. It was tempo. Yeah, okay. You have to do this. That's good. That means the Fuji's back in the deck, which is kind of what you want. I think I'm going to either value a snare or a hedge fund. At this point, our economy is more important, and we have another spin doctor, so I want to top deck a... Oh, I almost unheld control and shuffled something wrong. But we just need to get our money up because we want to res all the ice, and then we want to purge. Maybe we should have kept the Tattoo Bola because it's an obvious ice in front of R&D here. They can also like charge through the piranhas if they just have more cards and charge Amakua there, but if that's happening, it's probably pretty bad for them. And I think we can give multiple bad publicity. Like we can just give them all the bad publicity, and if they just can't run because of Amakua, they do have Boomerang though. Yeah, Boomerang is actually something hard to play around. They died a snare. Oh no, they draw first. They don't die to snare. They hit a Fuji, we're cooked. 2 credits install cards. Mind you, it's reduced by 1, so you can get a daily cast there, but you can't get an Earthrise down. Boomerang on HQ? Outermost? Like, I think they should just take a turn off and just run R&D and just farm the Amakua for free. Like, that's a problem, is they can farm the Amakua. Like, it is right, because we can't purge here. Well, if we purge, then, yeah. We have to just get Phoneutria credits and then we'll purge. You have 3 credits, so snare is safe. That's true. That is true. But they were going to draw too. Yeah, we need to always threaten snare. We need to threaten this res. We don't care about this axis. This actually takes cards out of their hand, so Blood in the Water could do something here. We can't... If they hit a snare, we'll be pretty upset about it. If they hit Spin Doctor, we'll be pretty upset. It's likely we'll be upset. Okay, worst case is actually the Spin Doctor, I think. Because we could lethal with Blood in the Water. No, they know the top deck. Shit. I mean, shitter. Ah, crap. Now we're on game point. That's bad. We're going to draw for Blood in the Water, okay? I could. There's only 2 and 27. We're doing it. Like, that could have been a lethal run. No, we're going to purge. Blood in the Water one time. Oh my god. Bah, we got you. Okay, good game. Woo. Yeah, they were a bit aggressive into the data loop. Like, you don't ever want to end your hand with like potentially 0 cards in hand. There's only 2 and 25. Like, that was not very likely that would convert. We don't have the full Blood in the Water gang. I actually think we should play the full Blood in the Water gang and not the full See How They Run gang for obvious ideas. Sure, idea 11. I'm on a boat. Tuxedo Men on op. Because we only have 2 of these. Yeah. Piranhas felt okay. It felt fine. Fish blessings. Yeah, the fish got there. The fish actually did his thing. Giving out bad publicity in a bad publicity wanting deck. Oh, man. Rob. Hey, man. Mind if I stream a game? This is Rob. Rob did a stream a while ago. I don't know if he's still streaming. Rob had a really cool stream. He was on his like back balcony and you heard all the noise outside. And I mean that in the best way possible. It was like just a cool vibe. I think he lives now somewhere in South America. Oh shit, I should have known this. Oh, I should have seen this coming. Rob loves Mighty Accident 419. Best of luck. Have fun. Have fun. I really enjoyed the last 419 stream you did. Tell Rob he needs to go back to streaming. Yeah, Chad and I says you need to go back to streaming. A lot of it was Rob being like, how do people do this? There's so many things to keep track of. And it's just like, it comes in time. It's fine. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Boomers and 419, the classic combo. Yeah, Rob knows. I keep not editing decks. Yeah. Playing the same 419 from 2018. I'll keep this hand. It's fine. It does have Hermes in it. It's like not that old. Is 419 2018? 2017, yeah. Technically different. Nice. Gonna have fun. Okay. So Rob is gonna give us some pressure for sure. So what do we want to do? We probably want to do the double install. So I don't know if Rob respects Charlotte. I don't know if we can protect Charlotte. So maybe we want to do double install here. We'll ice HQ with probably Phoneutria. Then we do Charlotte advance and then just see how it goes. We'll start here. Rob is actually probably unfalsified, so like this play is kind of weird. Looks like an NGO front. He might pressure it, like the second advancement being worth 2 credits. The thing is, like, if he's played around Charlotte enough, you should know you want to run this. Maybe that's why we should just put down an Urtica and be like, ha, 3 damage turn 1. Not a great play. When he asked this 419 from 2018, I thought it was like 3 years ago. Yeah, I know. I know. All right. Let's go. We could crack Charlotte to hit snare money. We're not going to do it. If he hits a snare, he hits a snare. Fuck. Sorry. Imagine. That was unlikely. We knew it, but like, there's no way to crack Charlotte for that. He gets falsified, so now we res it. Oh, that's the worst case. He guessed acid? He guessed acid. Okay. So we got punished on both lines. Bummer. At least he played a falsified in the matchup, which kind of matters. All right, a lot of cards in hand. We could do Rashida Anemone, protecting it. We could Planogram for 3 credits. That seems acceptable. Should have cracked the Charlotte. I know, but then it wouldn't taken the other 2 clicks out of him. It would have hit the falsified. Maybe we should have. It wasn't worth it. Pain? Yeah, that felt terrible. There's no way around it. That felt terrible. I did not play falsified in my 419, and it's good. It's a slots problem, but it's obviously very, very good. Now with 8 cards, like you can be a bit blasé into the ice. I don't know if we're going to see Boomerang Diversion. That's going to be a problem. We can still res Anemone, but like Rob can deal with that. We're not really controlling our draw. There's what, 12 agendas, 11 agendas, 12 agendas probably in R&D. Yeah, we're just waiting for the Hermes to come down. If you crack Charlotte, no shot, fam hits a snare. Yeah, you're right. If we crack it, there's not a snare there. Falsified. It's an acid guess. What's a good guesses actually? So falsified, if you don't know, you have to name the type. This is guessing agenda. So he knows his Rashida, could be pinhold. Daily cast Unity Leech, getting breakers down, bottoming out on economy. Okay. 3 cards in hand. So do we push the Fuji? No, that seems pretty wild. We probably want to ice up R&D to some extent because of Leech Unity. We'll start with there, and we'll probably do double install again. So 2 falsifieds are out. It's a good start. His economy's not very great. We haven't seen bravados or dirties. 2018 was 2 years ago. Second class act cycle? Wait, what? Oh, his turn was that fast. It was just click 3? Yeah, click 3 class act. Okay. So Rashida again. Just looking. Okay, so we can do Daniela Fuji. The question is like whether Hermes comes down sooner than later. And then we want to get another ice on here so that we can end the run. Tattoo Bola seems totally fine. So we'll do the triple install. The next turn we can do hedge fund advance, but this is the sort of thing where like against 419, you want to plan your installs a bit better than we have been so far. Now, if we can score the Fuji, it's not that bad for him. It's just like we don't want him to score the Fuji because then it's a lot of much longer road into winning the game. So next turn we'll do advance. And the idea is like Anemone into Daniel into Fuji. It's generally difficult to deal with the server. But we're going to see like Boomerang Diversion or some sort of central pressure. We're playing around Mining Accident relatively well. Maybe he's just on Paladin Puemo and like Companions and Twinning. He's definitely on Wake and Plant. He's good. Just 3 credit econ card. Again, you need to get your money up. Leech makes it a bit better. Now we're going to go in. Nice. Another Leech counter too. Unity. It's not the easiest to deal with Piranhas, but it's okay. Amakua with a counter. Oh god, that's a cool interaction. That's a really cool interaction. So we're just going to stick to the script. So we love to hit a breaker. Window of Opportunity is interesting. I don't think we're going to see Saucy. I think this is just for pressure. It's another card that like makes, I think we talked about like running ice feels a bit bad, but running expensive ice is difficult. So you might just Amakua up and then charge the remote server, which like with Amakua and Leech, maybe just diversions. Like there's obviously nothing that stops him unless there's a virus here. Phoneutria is good enough. We need to res it. It has text unless you let the subroutines fire. He obviously breaks it for 2 credits, but the tag actually is it's one of the cards that does, you know, scale around some of the more annoying stuff. We would love to keep the Spin Doctor. Take a tag, gotta clear it. So this is Mindscaping, okay. Now he knows that tags kind of matter. Just score Fuji. We're gonna do all the damage. We hit daily cast, bravado. Ooh, we hit a lot of money. Double bravado daily cast is what we hit. Feels good. I'll take that. So Sting in the remote server is probably the next thing. I wonder if we also want to get a Spin Doctor. We need to ice up archives. We actually could consider purging. Double Phoneutria on Centrals is okay. And we just haven't seen a Carmen yet. His money's not great. Never mind. 3 cards in hand is exactly where you want to be. Could this deck in a virus? It could. We had slots issue. Econ? No. Okay. So at least now with Amakua, we don't have to care about the expose as much as the expose is expose. So we probably Mindscaping for tempo. We're still looking at 2 more diversions, which is just going to be the world we live in here. That's hard. Not grinder. It's not grinder. We're actually scoring out. So if we get diversion again, the game's kind of over, and then the remote server comes down. Winky face, not grinder. Ooh. I think we'll start here for options. We would love to draw an economy card. Snare, bring them home. That actually can do something. So what are we putting back on top? I think we need Anemone archives and then consider purging in a turn. So I'm going to do a double install this turn. I don't know if we want to Spin Doctor into Phoneutria. I think we can. I guess we put a Spin Doctor, then we do archives for 1. We can show that it is what it is. Then we do new remote server. That might not be right. I think knowing what this ice is makes you plan the face check a bit better. So we know the top of the deck is a Spin Doctor. I'm okay with Rob going in, paying 2. Like we have to res all our ice anyways. Why not Snare on top? Because you almost never run with Snare top, let alone we can barely protect it. I didn't think Rob would run Snare on top. Apparently Rob's running it. I think I'm fine with him trashing the Spin Doctor because we have another Spin Doctor and we don't have great targets. Yeah, no trash. Oh, yeah, right. Can't play around that. Hedge fund's good. We can do credit hedge. So we'll shuffle back in, I think just 2 hedge funds. Just keep our money up. Hedge fund Charlotte's also fine. I think predictive is a bit better than hedge fund considering the economic denial. Snare will be our next spin doctor. Okay, so we just need to get our money up and then we can purge in a second. So we could do credit hedge, discarding bring them home. The deck is on Hermes, so I don't really want to throw out a sting. And now running these as long as you keep 3 cards in hand. So the snares are really important. So I think we throw out a sting. Maybe Hermes gets us, I'm not sure. Another diversion here would be pretty bad, but we're going to purge. So it's all about, can you find the Carmen or... Shit, he found it. Of course he did. Break for 1. 3 cards in hand, can't capitalize on it. It's okay. We can jam sting, bring them home on some turns. Okay, I think we just purge here, but then we have to be able to res everything. We're a creditor from that. That's the second diversion. We have to just eat 3 diversions. I don't think there's a way around that. We can throw out Daniela here. So if we get a third diversion, at least we're done with the diversions. But we're never going to stop the diversions. We could, in theory, put Daniela in HQ, but if we don't protect it, it's not worth anything. It looks like a Hokusai or something you don't want a diversion into. Mind you, old heads Crisium Grid was pretty common in Jinteki decks because like account siphon just was the bane. It's the only way they could safely check remote servers. It's a bit different now with Urtica, because back in the day, almost all the advanced traps needed money to fire. Buy bands, we're going R&D. 3 cards in hand, love it. We could fire Snare here and have a chance. Oh, he'll be on 5 cards on hand. There's a lot of agendas in there. Let's not see a killer. Daily cast, fine. Okay, I think we purge. Clicking for 3 is PD. Tails old is the time. Yeah, did you ever score a Gia Hands Arcology? I'm not resing the Piranhas into Amakua. Okay, so now boomerangs are the way to crack servers. You can also just install your Carmen. Carmen breaks Phoneutria for 3, or sorry, for 2. Hermes, great. So we need a Spin Doctor second leech. Yeah, love it. This is interesting. This actually is a chance for us to win the game. So we have to install multiple cards this turn. We're weak to the second, what's it called? Third diversion. But that is good. So we put a sting in here, and then we just click for credit, and then we hope that's good enough. I think we throw out a bring them home. Now there's pressure on a lot of servers. Boomerang HQ is the play. Let's see if it's a diversion or whether it's just a run. Diversion's bad. A run is okay. 3 cards in hand. Please hit a snare. Don't hit the blood in the water. Please hit a snare. Spin Doctor. Bad publicity, you could trash it. I think with the Amakua counters, now you can Amakua through Phoneutria. Like, that's the thing, is like Leech Fun Amakua is really hard to purge out, especially double Leech. Pay to reveal the Spin Doctor that you immediately res? Yes, because it gives an Amakua counter. It's not the information, is that if you do the expose, Amakua gets 1. So I see that it is dodgy, but it is what you have to do. Because Amakua at 1 is worth something. Because now at least if he trashes, he's not like not gaining. Okay, please hit a snare here. Or Fuji. Okay. Well, if we score the sting, we have a sting scored. He's on 1 card in hand. Planogram's a good draw. I think we score the sting. He bounces the anemone on archives. That's fine. We have to repurge anyways, but with Amakua Leech, let's just go. Order doesn't matter. Hit a Miss Bones. Hit a Dirty Laundry. Smooth Criminal 419 doing Moonwalk. MJ pose. Daniela in hand. I feel like Tattoo Bola is probably not doing it. It plays around the inside job for the like remote play. Okay. Still have snare credits. That's good. There's 1 more diversion somewhere. Archives is still iced up. We're going in. 4 cards in hand, though. Okay, you can take a tag, Rob. Maybe 2. Hit a snare. I think Rob realized with the tag, yeah. Might not want to do that. It's only 1 credit, mind you, with bad publicity. It's really cheap. Phoneutria is really cool. Like, it's actually making the runner access with 3 cards in hand. Yeah, no worries. I'll do it. Yeah, there's no way. He's been playing around this the whole game. I don't think you would do it there and run second last click. So we need to predict a planogram for money next turn. Otherwise, we'll like diversion down to 0, which admittedly planogram's good for that. Okay, I think we have to put the spin back in rotation and the sting. Just because Hermes means it's hard. And at some point, we're going to run remote server. Okay, good thing we get rid of that. House of Knives. So it's Tattoo Bowl into Anemone, 3 cards in hand. We just need to force a situation where the cards in hand matter. Jinteki Funhouse is exactly what I want to have in Netrunner. Yeah, it is cool. It is cool. So we could do Daniela, House of Knives, predict a planogram, and just make it a 1 and 3 on HQ. I think that's fine. So we're still pretty weak to Diversion. At least with Diversion, we can res Daniela. But now it's a 1 and 3 into Snare. And then maybe the Blood and Water does something. Please no bounce. Do you pay the 1 t-shirts or apparently I think we're Magic just need 1 419s? What are they paying 1 for in Magic? Freedon, how's it going? There's a lot of agendas in here. No bounce. Unfortunately, you can have unlimited credits. You can run for free. Not good. We probably should have paid 5 there. With the House of Knives, we're actually on game point. Ristic Study and Commander. Oh, cool. Oh, because you have to pay 1 to prevent the draw, right? I know that Magic card. All right, 4 more damage. Hit a Pinhole Threading. That's pretty good. Hermes is going to bounce something. Last time was a Daniela. We don't have to discard here, which is pretty sick. Unfortunately, though, we don't have snare money. This is the turn that Rob's going to find a snare for sure. Bounce the Daniela. Nice. Okay, so Phoneutria now gets a bit scarier because if we want to respect Phoneutria, you're actually accessing with 2 cards in hand. So if we have Fuji or Snare, we want to keep the House of Knives counter. So this is a free run, which obviously like that seems like a problem. So if he commits the axes, we can use the House of Knives. We want to keep the House of Knives though for a Snare hit. So I'm not going to use it here. Snare. Damn it. That would have been game winning. Obviously with 1 more credit, but Rob would have played differently with 1 more credit. Okay, 3 bad publicity. It doesn't matter. Damn. Twice this game. I know. 3 credits each time. But like Rob's running with that in mind. We can do install advance, score Blood in the Water, and win. Wait, that seems important. Worth. Oof, okay, we got there. Oof, thanks for the game. Twice. Snare on 3 credits. Yeah, I was joking about popping the turn 1 Charlotte just for Snare. There's no way you're gonna hit it. There's no way you're going to Snare on R&D. We can win. Wait, this seems important. Yeah, I know. I had to like double check. Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. We have Piranhas in the deck. I think you have enough bad pub that... All right, so Piranhas is not worth it. Don't put Piranhas in the deck. Spend influence on a better win condition. And then actually you have a deck that can do something. It's kind of interesting because we're not straight grinder. I know we ground out a lot of the games, but like you can build these tempo windows where Blood in the Water seems like a weird win condition. And I think a lot of it is like the huge respect for Phoneutria, which is kind of cool. Kind of really cool. This card's annoying. I think it's startup people are more familiar with this card. Hey, cheers. Cheers, man. Always a pleasure. Let me know if you stream more. I'll shout it out. I'll be glad to shout it out even. Hey, ciao, ciao. Cool. Sad fish. Yeah, I know. It's fine. It's fine. Hey, we have some news real quick. Mind you, this is a really important news thing. This was just dropped today. Let's see if there's a new ban list. I think chat would have said if there's a new ban list. But No Single Games put out this article. Volunteer Worlds 2024 Netrunner World Championship by James Pear, excuse me, Jamer. Hey, Jamer. Once again, the organized play team is calling up our unbelievable community players for volunteers to help orchestrate the grandest event of the year, the Null Single Games 2024 World Championship. Worlds 2024 takes place in SF, San Francisco, California on October 18th to 20th at the Hyatt San Francisco Embarcadero Waterfront Hotel. Check out the venue details in our announcement article here. For those who are newer to the game, who are tuning in, I cannot recommend Worlds enough. Netrunner World Championship is incredible. Any organized play of any size is great. The bigger, the better, because there's more people that travel all across the world. And I want to say two things really importantly. First thing, this event takes place at this bougie hotel on the northeast coast of San Francisco. The hotel rooms in this place are incredibly expensive. You do not need to stay here. The hotel room is like $400 US, the cheapest. Don't stay here. It's going to be at the place, but like you can walk in from anywhere. So you can stay in San Francisco. You can stay outside of San Francisco. There's a BART line. So if you're looking at this and be like, whoa, that hotel's incredibly expensive. It is because it is. But that means it should be a nice enough venue with amenities, but you do not have to stay there. Second thing, if you're looking at this thinking like, hey, I could go to that. That's not that hard to schedule in October. I have some time and some like, I can make it work. But I'm not a competitive Netrunner player, so I don't want to go. Netrunner World Championship is where that happens, but I think unfortunately this could be called anything else. It could be called Netrunner Con, and it honestly would be a better name. Because out of the 250 people that came to Barcelona at Worlds last year, which was a fantastic event, I'd argue think 64 of those players had a chance, or like were really, really spirited and thought they had a chance of making the day 2 top cut. Everybody else is just out there to have fun, play games, play in all the side events, meet people, and do all the cool stuff. Go out for dinner, drinks with your friends, whatever you want to do. So just keep that in mind. This is an event that's open to everyone. You don't have to win an invitational. You can just roll in. And even if it's your first ever event, I talked to multiple people where the World Championship was the first event they went to, like in Toronto and Barcelona, and they all had a great time. So if you're considering going, highly consider going, even if you're not a competitive grinder, because it is the coolest way to meet so many people to play this game. Actually, for what it's worth, the more players at an event, the better time you'll have, because after every round, say you lose both your games on round 1, you'll play against somebody round 1 who also lost both of their games. And so just a law of big numbers, as the day goes on, the more players, the more likely you'll find someone who you're evenly matched with. Round 1 might be rough if you care about winning. Come to SF. Yeah, Worlds is goated. It's really, really cool. So if you can make it, try and make it. Back to the article, just keep that in mind for a newer player. It sounds like a competitive sweat fest, like World Championship. I've been to Magic Pro Tour. This is nothing like that. I've not been to Magic Pro Tour. I don't know what it's like. This is generally just a cool place that people celebrate Netrunner, and some people try and win a World Championship trophy. Anyways, organizing an event of over 250 people is no small task, so the more volunteers we can gather, the smoother it will run for everyone. We aim to establish a comfortable schedule with manageable hours and breaks, ensuring everyone has time to rest and enjoy some free time over the 3 days of the event. We are looking forward. So they shout out all the things. Mind you, huge shout out to the volunteers last year. There's a lot of folks that are even volunteering that are not NSG staff. A lot of cool folks who are just like, I want to volunteer because I'm here and it seems cool. It takes a village to do anything well, let alone something of this size, and NSG does a great job. So if you want to be in the area and you want to volunteer, even if you don't want to play and you just want to participate in the world's kind of fervor, this is a nice way to do it. We're looking for judges. Oh, the judge team in Barcelona was fantastic. We're looking to build a well-rounded team of judges and are asking volunteers with a keen eye for detail to judge across all 3 days of the events. That's sick. If you'd like to judge, you kind of know the person you are. That's phenomenal. Judging at Worlds can be quite stressful, but even if you're a junior judge, obviously NSG is going to know that, and they're going to put you with support structures so you're not like deciding the world's final judge call. You're going to be somebody who's there to help people at side events and be with a judge. And if you don't know what to do, you just call a more senior judge, and like Jeff will come over, for instance, let alone the rest of the great judge team. HQ data entry. We need volunteers to help with registration. It takes a lot of people to do that. That's a really cool thing. If you want to sit at a desk and just literally meet so many people who are coming in, you just have to fill out forms and slips and make sure things are running. Salespeople. I don't know what sales are happening at Barcelona. There was a front desk that sold art and tokens, and it was honestly a huge success of the event. I have no doubt NSG is going to swing into it more. That's also really nice people if you like front facing stuff. Hey, Santa, completely agree. Worlds is awesome. Would recommend. Side events are a lot of fun too. Yeah, Santa, there's a lot of side events that were fantastic, either from NSG or for the community as well. NetrunnerCon 2024 with the World's Tourney. Exactly. Commentators, this is for me, could be for you too. We're encouraging all community members interested in providing commentary for the stream during any of the 3 days to join us. Those in other volunteer roles who also wish to participate in commentating will be supported and accommodated. That's a really big thing. This started, mind you, last year, is that if you were a volunteer at NSG Worlds, not only do you get a cool prize pack where they give you like the official volunteer prize, and last year, the volunteer prize is one of my favorite alt-arts of all time, the Solidarity Badge. Before that, it was a Mutual Favor, which is also one of my favorite, like they've been just bangers. They also have a stipend. And last year, I forget what it was like 68 euros per day worked, which is like not bad. That covers your food and everything. That's fantastic. It's great that like it's volunteer work, but at the end of the day, like it's nice that you have something to show for it, so it's not just like, right, like if it financially costs you a bit to do that, it's nice that NSG can help kick it back. They shouted that out in terms of it's 150 US a day towards food and lodging expenses as an additional thank you for your time spent helping run the event. I think that's really important, and there's a lot of people that would consider volunteering if they can make it financially make sense, so it's really nice that NSG is trying to make it make sense. That's phenomenal. I think a lot of people will appreciate that for sure. Side event organizers also looking for that, whether it's official from NSG or you can do your own side events, and NSG will support you with prize support. Usually that's phenomenal. Note for other streamers, if you're planning to run any kind of Worlds 2024 side stream on your own channel, especially if it's in a language other than English, let us know. We'd love to promote it. That's awesome. Anyways, apply to volunteer at Worlds. I am likely going to make it to Worlds this year. I know when I started talking about Worlds, when it got announced, I looked at ticket ticket prices for flights in Canada, and it was like $1,000. It was like cheaper to fly to Europe than it was to San Francisco. Since then, it's got a hell of a lot cheaper. It's down to like $400, $500 Canadian to fly, which is like way easier. I know the Métropole Grid, the financial situation in this household is a bit different than it was maybe a year ago, but I'll be able to confirm it whether sooner than later, but it looks like I will be at Worlds this year. We're leaning further towards that side than we definitely were a couple months ago, which is sick. I'll be applying for this sort of stuff. I'll let you know if I know more, but if you want to do any commentary, please don't hesitate. Even if you're newer to this sort of thing, NSG and the commentary team will do a good job, maybe pairing you with someone with more experience, so they're not being like, you're out on your own. But please get involved. This stuff is great. That's like US $75. Rob, how's it going? Yeah, but it's like Australian 900, so it's hard to tell. Go to Worlds and come to the weekly meetups beforehand. Make a trip out of it. Bay Area is fun. Yeah, San Francisco is definitely a place to see. It's not, I'll be honest, my favorite city. I've been there a long time ago, and a lot of people love it. I just talked to my friend who came back and said SF is his favorite thing in North America. Mind you, the guy plays a lot of like disc golf and geocaches, had a great time doing all that sort of stuff. But I'm excited to definitely, it's more about the people and the thing than the city, at least for me. And that's fine. Mind you, I'll link this in the description. The nice folks from San Francisco put out a document of like things to see, like transportation, food stuff, and it's been updated, I think, for the last couple months and will continue to be updated. So if you have any questions and you want to know more about San Francisco, there's a lot of Netrunner players in the Bay Area that can definitely help you out. Also, if you're looking at hotels and stuff like that, it seems expensive. There is the BART line, so you can always get like an Airbnb or a hotel further away from the downtown core, which is particularly expensive. And then you can like just take the transport in, which from my understanding is actually pretty good. Apply to Run Together. You probably know about this if you've been watching the channel. There is the Run Together fundraiser event pack, which is a bunch of cards. Oh, this is applying for application. So firstly, Run Together is a community initiative that raises money, and that money helps people that getting affordability to go to Worlds makes helps any amount of money. In short, if you would require any sort of financial support to make going to Worlds make more sense, apply to Run Together. It's very hard sometimes to ask for help, but even if it's just like $100 would help you like not worry about lodging or make you feel better about going out for dinner with friends, whatever it takes, apply to Run Together. If people don't apply, all this goes nowhere. Please apply because there's funds that's generated from the Run Together pack, and it's nice that it actually goes to use. One of the SF Documents writers here just asking a hashtag Worlds and GLC if you have questions. Thank you, Milanomi. Crab rolls and cheap smack. Oh my God, Rob. Can we do commentary remotely? I don't think it's in the budget or schedule for me to go. Droids, I'm not sure yet. I don't think any of the logistics for commentary are exactly locked down. I know there's a lot of people that are super excited to get it locked down and do like every year better than the year before. I'm pretty sure the commentary and the streaming setup in SF is going to be stellar. Not that it wasn't in Barcelona, but I'm definitely stoked for it. So we'll figure out whether it's going to be remote or local only. It comes down to like the logistics, and I'm not sure who's planning that stuff just yet. But definitely ask. You can email these people. You can email OP, or I'm not sure. I think you email OP and ask questions about that sort of thing. Anyways, please consider volunteering your Worlds. Apply here. Hopefully we'll see you in San Francisco in October. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Mind you got some time to sort that out. But yeah, that's coming up in October. It's going to be a sick event for sure. James is part of the NSG organized play. He lives in Victoria, BC, Canada, and has been playing and running Netrunner events over a decade. And Anarch at heart, he misses Blackmail Val endlessly. Making friends out there. That's cool. That's really cool. I think that's it. I think we're waiting for a ban list later this week. Hopefully, I would love it before Thursday so we can talk about it on the stream. I'm going to pause the, what's it called? I've been struggling. I talked about it earlier on the stream. A Teia is just not doing a thing. I feel like I don't want to jump a letter and go to B. I think I'm just going to wait for the new ban list and we'll pick it up from there, which is totally fine. I think that's it. I'm really, really sweaty. It's getting gross in here. I need to open a window. How's everyone doing? We've been streaming for about 4 hours. I think that's probably good. We'll be back on Thursday. I gotta call my mom. It's her birthday. Happy birthday, mom. And that's it. Skip to Q. There is a Q. It's Quetzal. It'd be kind of fun. As Mari's an A, yeah, Frank, we asked for certain ones. So it's not an A. It's whatever the top rated A from the patrons, which shout out to the patrons. Oh, shout out to the patrons too. Oh, I was meant to add it. Oh, I didn't update this yet. Nikki 3.0. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. But we are supported entirely on Patreon, and which I incredibly appreciate. A lot of time goes into behind the scenes, more than you might think, making stuff happen. And that just takes obviously effort and time. And it can only be done with the support of like nice patrons, like all these names here. And of course, all our daily cast patrons as well. It's incredibly appreciated ongoing support. If you want to support the channel, the link to the Patreon, mind you, is in the description. If you just want to also like the YouTube video, subscribe and follow, it helps the channel way more than you think it does. It's like the easiest way to be like, yo, sick. Thanks so much for that. I think that's mostly it. Upcoming, there's some events this weekend. If you want to, I think Man in the Moons thing is coming up really soon. Continentals, America Continentals is in like 2 weekends, which again, pay attention to the new ban list. That's going to be probably pretty important for that. So there's a lot of Netrunner stuff going on in the background, for sure. It's going to be really exciting. Mind you, NPC Providence, NPC Boston is just in a couple weeks. It's on the 25th, 26th, so 2 weekends from now. And I will be meeting with a game store to figure out the exact date of the upcoming NPC Montreal event, which will be end of August, beginning of September. And I'll be excited to let you know as soon as I can when that date is actually locked in, because we'll be running an event just like we did last year. As much as it's not nationals, it's still going to be a sick event. Shout out to the 2 Canadian nationals this year across Canada. That's mostly it. We'll be back on Thursday. Thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you're enjoying the VOD, and hopefully you're having a good time playing Netrunner. Oh, if you want to post a deck list, I'll post a deck list in the description. You'll find it there. Take care, y'all. Ciao.